At this moment, the soldiers noticed the 5-star emblem on Bai Shen's chest. The next moment, they greeted him with the highest human etiquette. Seeing this, I couldn't help but feel impressed. Is this his influence? Bai Shen looked at me thoughtfully. He quickly explained, "Kid, I know what you're thinking. They don't recognize me, they recognize the emblem on my chest." Soon, we arrived at the military ID office. The staff was busy playing games, and didn't notice us at all. But when Bai Shen spoke up, and asked him to issue me a military ID, the man instinctively cursed, "Who dares disturb me while I'm busy?" But when he saw the 5-star emblem on Bai Shen's chest, he was terrified. Oh my god, a 5-star general. Bai Shen personally brought a newcomer to get an ID? He quickly processed my military ID. After receiving the emblem, Bai Shen began explaining its purpose to me. On the battlefield, killing demons earns you merit points. Once your merit points reach a certain level, your emblem will automatically upgrade. The highest rank is the general rank. The stars on it represent the military achievements within that rank. The more achievements, the higher the star count. Each rank has 5 stars. After the explanation, Bai Shen said he would take me to another place. Soon, we arrived at the Hall of Souls. From his words, I learned that this is a place where the Empire's past heroes are enshrined. Each floating seal represents a hero who died in battle. Their soul power remains to forever guard the Empire. After saying this, Bai Shen bowed respectfully. Descendant of the Empire, Bai Yiyuan, humbly requests the Empire's ancestors to bless this descendant. As soon as he finished speaking, one of the 3 divine towers, the Mask Tower, emitted a dazzling light. A beam of light then enveloped me. I noticed a golden star on Bai Shen's emblem. Slowly fading away, the Mask Tower has imprinted your spiritual mark. This way, even if you fall on the battlefield, there will be a way to revive you. Hearing this, I was shocked. Bai Shen had spent an entire star's worth of merit just to give me a chance at survival. He then told me, on the battlefield, there are many dungeon entrances, and around them, there may be abyssal demons who will try to stop humans from entering. So, make sure to buy some teleportation scrolls to return to the fortress. After arranging everything, Bai Shen bid me farewell. Without delay, I immediately left the city to hunt demons. But shortly after leaving the city gates, I was attacked by an unknown creature, and it was an invisible, spectral-type monster. The skeleton warrior, also a spectral being, initiated an attack. The next moment, the monster's form became visible. The skeleton warrior then slashed at it, but to my surprise, it didn't cause any damage. Only after seeing its attribute panel did I finally understand that it had a passive skill to immune physical damage. So, I immediately summoned a skeleton mage. If physical damage doesn't work, let's try elemental attacks. As the skeleton mage's attack landed, the battlefield wraith was instantly engulfed in flames. A wisp of soul energy then fell into my hand. To my surprise, this thing could enhance weapons and equipment. But at this moment, I couldn't let my guard down. If there are monsters immune to physical damage, there might also be monsters immune to magic, or even monsters immune to both. As I made my way to the dungeon entrance, 3 figures suddenly appeared, frantically running away. Behind them was a pack of abyssal hounds. The man in front told me to run, but I walked straight toward the hounds. The others exclaimed that I was doomed, as there were at least 100 abyssal hounds behind them. But when I saw the hounds, with the remnants of human flesh in their mouths, my killing intent instantly erupted. You all deserve to die. With that, I summoned both skeleton warriors and mages. The next moment, the skeleton mage's elemental attack landed in the midst of the hounds. The skeleton warriors also charged forward. Without hesitation, as the first hound was killed, the emblem on my chest began accumulating military merit. At the same time, the Scythe of Death absorbed a wisp of abyssal soul. At this rate, I only needed to kill 30 more to level up. So, I immediately used the corpse explosion skill on the hound's body. With a loud explosion, my military merit began to skyrocket. The Scythe of Death directly leveled up to level 2. Meanwhile, in a dark cave, a pair of blood-red eyes suddenly opened. Sensing the sudden disappearance of his minions, he immediately thought a high-level professional had appeared. So, he sent out another group of minions to continue searching for food. By now, I had found the dungeon entrance. But in the eyes of others, I was just a rookie. Then I noticed that this dungeon had a hell difficulty level. Wanting to experience something different, I decided to challenge the hell difficulty. My fellow countrymen tried to stop me, but it was too late. They were in disbelief. He actually went in alone. Meanwhile, a Japanese man sneered, Come, let's see what difficulty this fool chose." With that, he threw out a dungeon detection talisman. The next moment, the dungeon's information appeared, hell difficulty. One person inside. Seeing this result, my fellow countrymen were heartbroken. Not only did he go in alone, but he also chose the highest difficulty. He's really walking into certain death. The Japanese man mocked. How long do you think he'll last inside? Hearing this, my countryman drew his sword and pointed it at him. Tiny Japan dares to provoke us? Shut your mouth if you want to live. Meanwhile, as soon as I entered the dungeon, I noticed something was wrong. My storage space seemed to be restricted, meaning I couldn't use potions or supplies, not even teleportation scrolls. The only way out was to clear the dungeon. At that moment, I was spotted by a monster patrol. They immediately charged at me. To my surprise, the attributes of these ordinary soldiers were higher than those in the Tyrant Desert. Not daring to be careless, I summoned over a dozen skeleton warriors to defend, but in just one encounter, my skeleton warriors were all stunned. In the blink of an eye, I lost 3 skeleton warriors. Since close combat wasn't working, I summoned skeleton mages for ranged attacks. With the combined efforts of the warriors and mages, we quickly wiped out the monsters. However, this battle made me more cautious. Although I had many skeleton warriors, once they were stunned by monsters, they had little chance of survival. Still, this made me somewhat excited. In the past, clearing dungeons was always a breeze, but this was the first time I encountered a dungeon that required caution. Despite my carefulness, I was discovered by a second patrol, a dragon spear squad. I couldn't help but marvel at the dungeon's difficulty. Reluctantly, I summoned skeleton warriors to draw their aggro, but to my surprise, the summoned warriors were immobilized by some force. I immediately recognized it as the mage's control skill, wind shackles. It seemed they had some level of intelligence and could use basic tactics. In the end, I resorted to overwhelming them with numbers, sacrificing 5 skeleton warriors in the process. Finally, I managed to kill the dragon spear soldiers. But just then, the dragon mage suddenly launched a sneak attack on my skeleton mage. Clearly, they knew the skeleton mage posed a greater threat. However, I detected this move in advance and immediately countered with Soul Flame. The Soul Flame, which ignores defense, instantly killed it. To my surprise, after their death, they dropped a material Bai Shen needed, Dragon Horn. But the drop rate was abysmal. Only 1 dropped after killing so many monsters. After recovering the heavily injured skeleton warriors, I continued deeper into the dungeon. Soon, I encountered the 3rd dragon spear soldier. To minimize the loss of skeleton warriors, I once again used my most common method of pulling monsters. Combined with my skill, Slow, I successfully controlled all the dragon spear soldiers. Then, I ordered the skeletons to counterattack. Meanwhile, Bai Shen had returned to the academy. Elder Meng immediately noticed that his military merit had decreased by 1 star. It seems you really value him, even willing to spend a star of military merit to plant a mark on him. Hearing this, Bai Shen shrugged indifferently. It's just a bit of military merit. Compared to Lin Mo and that kid, it's nothing. Besides, I need him to gather some materials for me in the dungeon. Consider it a training exercise for him. Speaking of the dungeon, Elder Meng's expression suddenly changed. The dragon frontline dungeon has a hell difficulty. Did you remind him not to challenge it recklessly? Hearing this, Bai Shen broke into a cold sweat. I actually forgot about that. Do you think he really challenged the hell difficulty? Elder Meng quickly reassured him. Don't worry too much. He led 39 people and cleared a large dungeon with ease. This should just give him a bit of a challenge. Besides, he has the spiritual mark you planted on him. He won't die. Meanwhile, inside the dungeon, I had already killed all the dragon soldiers. However, the dungeon progress was only at 1/3, and my skeletons were severely depleted. I couldn't help but think the hell difficulty dungeon was absolutely brutal. I wanted to see what kind of monster the final boss was. After 2.5 hours of fighting, I finally reached the castle where the final boss was located. Just as I ordered the skeleton warriors to charge into the castle, one of the skeleton warriors behind me was instantly killed by an invisible attack. The sudden attack made me extremely cautious. A monster capable of killing a skeleton warrior at such speed must be incredibly strong. Then, a second skeleton warrior was killed right before my eyes. I immediately realized it was another invisible monster. So, I ordered the skeleton mages to launch area attacks. As the mages' attacks rained down, soon, the hidden monsters were forced out of invisibility. Their attributes also became visible. Seeing their extreme attributes, I finally understood why the skeleton warriors were instantly killed. However, once their invisibility was broken, they were no longer a threat. The next moment, the skeleton warriors launched a counterattack. With the mages' support, they quickly wiped out the monsters and obtained a dragon heart needed for the quest. But just then, a large number of swordsmen rained down from the castle walls. I quickly activated bone armor to defend and ordered the skeletons to throw the assassins' corpses at them. As the corpses approached them, I used the explosion skill. With a loud boom, the explosion tore through the castle walls, instantly killing a group of archers. They also dropped a drop of dragon blood. With the archers gone, the skeleton warriors quickly stormed into the city. However, I still couldn't see the final boss anywhere. Just as I was puzzled, the giant stone statue beside me began to crack. As the rocks completely fell away, a dragon leader exuding a terrifying aura appeared before me. At the same time, his attribute panel appeared. Feeling his overwhelming pressure and attributes, I couldn't help but break into a cold sweat. Without hesitation, I distanced myself from him. At the same time, the dragon leader let out a roar, and a violent force erupted from his body. Sensing his intent to attack, I immediately cast Slow Curse on him. In an instant, chains of restraint tightly bound him. The next moment, he was met with elemental attacks from the skeleton mages. I thought this round of attacks would heavily damage him, but I discovered he had already activated his skill, Resistance Boost. Not only did he withstand all the attacks unscathed, but the slow effect I applied was also significantly weakened. The skeleton warriors closest to him were instantly crushed by his casual swipe. Then, he slammed his weapon into the ground. The moment the weapon hit, all skeleton warriors within 100 meters were stunned. This directly cost me 12 skeleton warriors. Seeing this, my expression turned grave. Although I could continue summoning skeleton warriors, my mental energy couldn't sustain such consumption. So, I immediately summoned the Tomb General to cast military buff. To my surprise, the buffed skeleton warriors instantly broke free from the stun. Seeing this, I was overjoyed. Now, the boss's control skills were no longer a threat. The next moment, all skeleton warriors swarmed him. With the support of the skeleton mage's attacks, they instantly took out half of his health. The enraged dragon leader used his group stun skill again, but as the Tomb General's military buff was applied to the skeleton warriors, the stun effect disappeared in less than 2.5 seconds. Just as I thought victory was within reach, the dragon leader suddenly lunged at me. Clearly, he knew I was the greatest threat to him. Fortunately, bone armor blocked his full-powered strike. Seizing the moment after his attack, I threw a soul flame at him. The soul flame, which ignores defense, instantly made him let out a piercing scream. As the skeleton mages' elemental attacks continued to rain down, the dragon leader finally exhausted his last drop of blood. With his fall, a title suddenly appeared above my head. It turned out to be a hidden reward for soloing the Hell-level Dragon Outpost. Not only did it increase all my attributes by 500, but it also reduced skill consumption by 50%. Additionally, I obtained a job advancement certificate, while other seniors on the battlefield could only become food for the abyssal creatures. I saw these terrifying monsters as sources of military merit. Moreover, I single-handedly killed hundreds of demon hounds that were besieging people. The strength I displayed left the other seniors utterly shocked. After I killed the dragon leader in the Hell-level dungeon, I not only obtained the unique title Dragon Slayer, but I also collected over a third of the materials Bai Shen needed. My level also rose to 23. As a result, my skills also leveled up to 23. Most importantly, my attributes were significantly enhanced, and my skill consumption was reduced by 50%. This meant I could now summon twice as many skeletons. This would greatly reduce the difficulty of clearing Hell-level dungeons. So, I exited the dungeon and prepared to use the cooldown talisman to continue farming materials. But as soon as I teleported out, I found the surroundings littered with corpses, resembling a hellscape. The smell of blood in the air made me frown. Quickly activated bone armor to guard against any surprises. Just then, several demon hounds rushed toward me from behind, and behind them was an even larger group of hounds. Seeing this, I immediately summoned skeleton warriors to repel the nearby hounds. However, just as I was about to summon skeleton mages to fight, an attack suddenly landed around me, sending the hounds flying. I saw a man leading a team coming to my aid. "Young man, come here quickly. This area is surrounded by abyssal hounds." Once I was safe, they urged me to use a teleportation scroll to return to the fortress. But I didn't leave. Instead, I asked why they were risking their lives to stay here. After all, with their strength, they could easily break through. It turned out they were waiting for their fellow countrymen who hadn't yet exited the dungeon. In contrast, the abandoned Japanese could only become food for the hounds. At that moment, the priest detected that no one was left in the dungeon. So he quickly informed everyone to begin their retreat. But I stood still and said, "You go ahead. I'll clear them out and continue farming the dungeon." With that, I summoned my skeleton army. As the skeleton mages began chanting spells, the next moment, fierce elemental attacks rained down on the hounds. The skeleton warriors were responsible for finishing off the weakened hounds. In a short time, a large number of hounds were killed. Seeing this, the group was utterly shocked. They never imagined that the terrifying hounds would be so easily defeated by the young man before them. But what happened next completely shattered their understanding. I slowly raised my hand, a red light swirling around it. The next moment, a massive explosion erupted on the battlefield, sending a wave of energy surging. The visual impact and destructive power left the group behind me dumbfounded. The military merit gained from killing so many hounds directly promoted me to a 1-star private. Even the Scythe of Death, after absorbing abyssal souls, leveled up to 3. It also gave me an additional 300 points in mental energy. Encouraged by this, I used the explosion skill again to clear the remaining hounds. Seeing this, they assumed I must be a genius from a top academy. But then, the man seemed to realize something. His face filled with shock. Isn't he the one who entered the hell level dungeon? My god, he actually soloed the hell level dungeon. Just as they were in shock, my military merit rose to 2-star private, and the Scythe of Death leveled up to 4. With each level up, the increase in mental energy grew higher, making me even more excited about the surprises that further upgrades would bring. Then, I looked at the battlefield, littered with hound corpses, feeling unsatisfied. Unfortunately, there were only about 200 hounds. If only there were more abyssal creatures. But after the intense battle, the group sat down, still shaken. They all agreed that the battlefield was far too dangerous. Their team leader walked up to me to express his gratitude, introducing himself as a level 31 paladin from Shaojing Academy. Hearing that he was from the same academy, I politely shook his hand and told him I was also from Shaojing Academy, a level 23 necromancer. The man was curious. Which year are you from? I told him. I just attended the opening ceremony yesterday. As soon as I finished speaking, the man's shield slammed to the ground. So, you're just a freshman? On my first day on the battlefield, I caught the attention of the Abyssal Lord. The hounds he sent were all wiped out in less than 2.5 minutes. As a result, he sent high-level creatures to kill me. When the group learned of my status as a freshman, they were all left utterly stunned. Are all freshmen this monstrous now? Back when I first entered the academy, I was only around level 15 or 16. And I could only focus on training within the academy. But you're already holding your own on the battlefield. This is something we wouldn't even dare to imagine. Even their team leader, Shi Xing'an, was deeply impressed by me. Junior, with such strength right after enrollment. No wonder you survived so long in the hell level dungeon. Clearly, they didn't know I had already cleared the hell level dungeon. But I didn't mind. Instead, I asked why their team didn't enter. To farm the dungeon. With your strength, clearing it shouldn't be difficult, right? Hearing this, the man sighed and explained. It's because our tank isn't strong enough to withstand the boss. Our team almost got wiped out in the nightmare level dungeon. The team leader quickly added. That's because our equipment was too poor back then. Now, we're just missing one last piece. The outpost shield, to complete the set. Once we have it, clearing the nightmare level dungeon will be a breeze. At this point, he turned to me and said, by the way, what equipment do you need, Junior Lin? I can sell you any drops we get at a discount. The equipment from the outpost is top-tier gold gear. You'll be able to use it once you reach level 30. But before he could finish, I pulled out a golden shield from my storage space. Is this the shield you need, senior? Seeing the shield, the group was stunned. This is actually the shield dropped from the hell level outpost. Its stats are miles ahead of the nightmare level shield. Then, the team leader asked nervously how I obtained it. I straightforwardly told him it dropped from the boss. Hearing this, he broke into a cold sweat. You're saying this shield dropped from the hell level boss? The others also exclaimed in shock. Did you solo the hell level outpost dungeon? I nodded and tossed the shield to Shi Xing'an. The moment Shi Xing'an equipped the shield, a golden light began to emanate from him. Next moment, a golden pillar of light shot into the sky. Everyone was utterly shocked by this sight. After all, the outpost set was even better than ordinary platinum equipment. Shi Xing'an understood its value, especially since it was a higher-tier hell-level shield. So, he offered to buy it for 10 million gold coins. Seeing me hesitate, he panicked and said, Junior Lin, this is all I have for now. I can pay you more later. But I told him I'd only take 5 million gold coins. Hearing this, Shi Xing'an was deeply moved. After the transaction, we prepared to teleport back to the fortress to replenish our supplies. Meanwhile, in the void, a pair of eyes suddenly opened. The hounds I sent out were all wiped out again? Go and see what's going on. As soon as he finished speaking, a massive figure emerged from the void. As you command. By now, we had returned to the human fortress. In the crowd, I spotted Ake. Standing in front of him was a man with the legendary class of Holy Light Knight. Ake noticed me and happily approached. What are you doing here? Are you here for a quest too? If so, I bet it's something challenging. Is it collecting materials like dragon horns? Wait, no, that's too easy for you. I bet your quest is for something only a boss can drop, right? I looked at his handsome face and didn't respond. Seeing my silence, he was thrilled. Great, my quest is also to collect dragon hearts. This means we can enter the dungeon together again. At this point, the man stepped forward and asked Ake who I was. I introduced myself to him. But when Ake found out I had reached level 23, he was shocked. It's only been a few days, and you've already surpassed me in level. I looked at him affectionately and said, I'll take you dungeon farming. Ake eagerly agreed. The man behind him looked displeased. Didn't we agree that I'd take you dungeon farming? And your friend is only level 23. With his strength, he'd need someone to carry him in the dungeon. How can he carry you? Hearing this, Ake looked disgusted. That's none of your concern. I appreciate your offer to take me dungeon farming, but I don't need it anymore. Seeing this, the man didn't say anything more, but he secretly held a grudge against me. At that moment, Ake asked me what difficulty level 1 wanted to choose for the dungeon. I smirked and said, same as always. The highest difficulty, Hell level. Once feared as the Grim Reaper, the Hell level dragon leader had now become a plaything in my hands. Even after exhausting its last drop of blood, it couldn't harm me at all. Earlier, I had promised Ake to take him leveling together, but when he heard I wanted to farm the Hell level dungeon, Ake was utterly shocked. After all, Zhou Lisheng, who was level 30, had only offered to take him through the nightmare level dungeon. Thinking of this, Ake immediately became a fanboy, looking at me with admiration. That's great, I've always wanted to see what the Hell level dungeon is like. However, Zhou Lisheng, who was still nearby, secretly gloated, thinking this was just my way of flirting and deceiving. He thought Ake would have to come crawling back to him. Soon, Ake and I arrived at the dungeon entrance. I then used the cooldown talisman to reset the dungeon's cooldown. As our figures disappeared into the dungeon entrance, the onlookers were left utterly shocked. Did I see that right? They actually entered the Hell level difficulty. The last time someone cleared the Hell level difficulty was a team from the Godslayer Academy. They're doomed. As soon as we entered the dungeon, Ake was equipped with bone armor. He immediately understood that this was a defensive skill to protect him. Seeing my composed demeanor, he felt a deep sense of security. With my previous experience clearing the dungeon, this time, the skeletons made quick work of the dragon soldiers. But this speed left Ake wide-eyed. Judging by how effortlessly you're handling this, it seems this isn't even your full strength. Hearing this, I calmly replied, this dungeon really isn't that hard. Ake stuck out his tongue and said, others struggle to survive in the nightmare level dungeon, but you make the Hell level difficulty seem easier than nightmare. Then, my skeleton army plowed through the dungeon, quickly advancing the progress of the Hell level dungeon. Soon, we reached the castle, where the final boss was located. Before entering, I asked Ake about his quest, wondering if he needed anything else besides the dragon heart. Ake handed me a ring and explained that the first part of his quest was already complete. The ring was the Goblin King's ring, the best accessory for players under level 40, with the powerful attribute of increasing all skills by +1. The material used to craft it was the Goblin King's heart I had given him. Just as he was showing it off, I suddenly pulled him aside. The next moment, a dragon assassin appeared where he had just been standing. Ake broke into a cold sweat, not expecting such stealthy monsters in the Hell level dungeon. However, his class happened to have a skill that could detect stealth. So, he immediately activated the detection skill to locate the hidden assassins. Soon, all the assassins in the area were eliminated. Ake looked at me proudly and said, see, I'm still useful, right? Suddenly, he noticed I was already a 2-star private, and was shocked. Then, he pouted and playfully punched my chest. Your military merit is way ahead of mine. You'll have to carry me from now on. After agreeing, we arrived in front of the dragon leader's statue. I equipped Ake with bone armor and told him to stay back. This was the first time Ake saw me being so cautious. Although confused, he obediently hid in the distance to watch. As the stone surface of the statue began to crumble, the terrifying dragon leader revived once more. Even Ake, who was far away, was intimidated by the aura it emitted. I immediately cast Slow Curse to restrict its movements. Just like last time, the dragon leader activated Resistance Boost, instantly breaking free from the Slow Curse. Then, it used a group knockback skill. In an instant, the ground around us began to crack under the force. Even Ake, who was far away, was sent flying. But I, relying on bone armor, managed to withstand the impact. I then cast Soul Flame to counterattack. Next, I summoned the Tomb General to buff the skeletons with military might. The skeleton warriors, freed from the stun, began to counterattack the dragon leader. Enraged, the dragon leader used its stun skill again. At the same time, I had already recalled all the skeletons causing the boss's skill to miss entirely. Once the aftershocks dissipated, I summoned the skeletons again. Compared to last time, this greatly reduced the skeletons' losses. After a fierce assault by the skeletons, the powerful dragon leader was easily defeated once more. The experience gained leveled up Ake, who was still in shock. He also obtained a job advancement certificate. Overwhelmed by the sudden good fortune, he hugged me tightly. Great, I got a job advancement certificate. After the excitement, he shyly stepped back, quickly explaining that he was just too happy. Just as I was giving Ake the golden dagger dropped by the boss, Xing'an's team stood grimly at the dungeon entrance. A high-level demon, leading a pack of abyssal hounds, had surrounded them. The abyssal demon, which seemed invincible to others, was like an ant in my eyes. Even with its full strength, it couldn't break my defense. I only needed one soul flame to instantly kill it. This scene left everyone present in awe of me. Earlier, the Desert Reaper had descended to the battlefield to avenge its offspring, but it didn't detect my presence. Among the human forces, furious, it commanded the hounds to devour everyone. Screams filled the human camp. At that moment, Zhou Lisheng's team had just teleported out of the dungeon. They were immediately met with a pack of hounds, leaving them stunned. Without hesitation, Zhou Lisheng activated the paladin's defensive skill. Golden orbs enveloped his teammates, temporarily saving them from harm. But when they saw the sea of hounds on the battlefield, they couldn't help but break into a cold sweat. Shi Xing'an warned them about the demon in the sky. As the abyssal demon descended upon them, Zhou Lisheng saw the demon preparing to attack and smirked. Don't waste your energy, you can't break my defensive aura. But before he could finish, the demon's axe ignored his defense and struck his shield. The terrifying force sent him flying until he crashed into a stone wall. The blow nearly killed him. Seeing this, everyone couldn't help but facepalm. We thought the legendary paladin class was strong, but it turns out to be so weak. At that moment, the demon noticed Zhou Lisheng's class. Killing a legendary holy light knight here would be a great achievement. Hearing this, Zhou Lisheng quickly claimed, I'm not the one you're looking for. I've already sent out a distress signal. Human reinforcements will be here soon. He hoped to scare the demon into fleeing, but the demon remained unmoved, determined to kill him to prove its worth. At this critical moment, Ake and I teleported out of the dungeon. At the same time, the demon froze in its tracks. It had sensed a familiar aura on me. It was you who killed my child. I'll crush you. I looked up, confused. But the next moment, the demon's axe came crashing down at me. At the same time, my bone armor skill activated. After the attack, I smirked. Did you even eat today? Seeing this, everyone let out a sigh of relief. The demon, enraged, began to attack me frantically. But it still couldn't break through my bone armor. Taking advantage of the gap between its attacks, I cast Soul Flame. The blue flames instantly ignited its head. This attack completely shattered its fighting spirit, and it began to flee in panic. But I wasn't about to let it escape. So, I cast Slow Curse. The next moment, the demon was immobilized in midair, unable to move. Even the abyssal hounds on the battlefield were frozen in place. The demon struggled desperately, but it couldn't break free at all. Seeing this, Ake burst out laughing. He had expected this outcome. After all, even the ordinary monsters in the hell-level dungeon were stronger than this demon. I then summoned my skeleton army to clean up the abyssal hounds. At this moment, the demon was filled with despair. Soon, the corpse explosion skill detonated repeatedly among the hounds. Finally, only the battered demon remained, collapsed on the ground. With the demon's death, I gained 50 military merit points and obtained the rare material, Demon's Essence. My Scythe of Death also leveled up to 7, increasing my mental energy by 2,100 points. After this battle, my military rank directly rose to 5-star private. Even Ake gained a fair amount of military merit. As I stood atop the clouds, basking in everyone's admiration, Zhou Lisheng, blinded by jealousy, had already forgotten that I had saved him from the demon. He secretly vowed to make me kneel before him and beg for mercy. He also swore to make Ake his woman. Meanwhile, the mysterious demon hidden in the void finally lost its temper, with just a wisp of its consciousness descending to the battlefield. It terrified the elite guards, leaving them petrified. This was because it was one of the 7 demon lords, the Flame Demon. Earlier, after I had dealt with all the abyssal demons, I immediately asked about the condition of Shi Xing'an's team. Hearing this, Shi Xing'an patted the golden shield in his hand and said, I'm fine. Thanks to your shield, I've completed my set. At that moment, a group of people arrived in the distance. Shi Xing'an immediately recognized them as the guards from the Eternal Wall. They had clearly come in response to the distress signal, but to their surprise, the battle was already over by the time they arrived. Seeing the ground littered with hound corpses, They were utterly shocked. Curious, they began to ask everyone what had happened. They also inquired about who had sent the distress signal. Upon learning the truth, the guard captain approached me. At first, he couldn't believe that a level 23 rookie could accomplish such a feat. But when he saw the 5-star emblem on my chest, he understood. After all, reaching 5-star private required killing a lot of hounds. Young man, you've done well. I'll report everything that happened here to headquarters. Just then, another group of people arrived. The leader was a holy summoner. Shi Xing'an immediately recognized her. She was the princess of the Shajin Shi Mo family, Mo Yu. Moreover, her class was legendary. Her stunning appearance made all the men present admire her. At that moment, the woman asked, what happened with the distress signal earlier? After the guard captain explained that everything was under control, she prepared to leave, but I, standing in the crowd, instantly caught her attention. The aura I emitted made her feel disgusted. However, she only gave me a meaningful glance before leaving. At the same time, I noticed the emblem on her chest. It was a 4-star lieutenant. Seeing me deep in thought, Ake immediately told me that the woman was searching for Nirvana crystals. Hearing this, Shi Xing'an suddenly understood. No wonder she, who usually stays deep in the battlefield, appeared here this time. She's looking for Nirvana crystals. That's an ultra-rare material that increases the chance of class ascension. When a class undergoes its second advancement, it further defines its direction. At the same time, there's a chance for class ascension. For example, my rare class, Paladin, would ascend to the legendary class, Holy Light Knight, but relying solely on natural ascension is too low a chance. Nirvana crystals can significantly increase the probability. Currently, it's known that deep in the battlefield, a monster called the Battlefield Wraith has an extremely low chance of dropping Nirvana crystals. At this point, Ake added, I know a boss called the Battlefield Ghost King. That's guaranteed to drop it. Hearing this, Shi Xing'an sighed. The Battlefield Ghost King rarely appears, and it's a world-level boss. It's extremely difficult to defeat. Hearing this, I couldn't help but feel curious. Mo Yu is already a legendary class, yet she can still ascend? Is there a level above legendary? Just then, a pair of blood-red eyes emerged from the void. The hounds are dead again? Even the demon I sent didn't survive. It seems the humans have produced an extraordinary class. Enraged, he decided to send an even higher level demon to test the waters. Meanwhile, the human strongholds sensed his anger and were shocked. That aura just now, it was the Flame Demon King. What happened to make him so furious? Regardless, we need to report this to the higher-ups immediately. Meanwhile, Bai Shen anxiously asked Elder Meng what had happened. Elder Meng reassured him, it's nothing. After communicating with the Hall of Souls and the Mask Tower, I saw his image. That kid not only wiped out a lot of abyssal hounds, but he's also already a 5-star private. Most importantly, he even killed an abyssal demon. Hearing this, Bai Shen was also shocked. In just 2 days, he's achieved so much. The upcoming class competition is going to be very exciting. At that moment, Elder Meng noticed Ake beside me, and was equally surprised. I didn't expect them to be together. Bai Shen quickly asked what else he saw. I actually saw Ning Lao's nemesis with Lin. I can't wait to see Ning Lao's reaction when he finds out. Meanwhile, Ake and I had just cleared the Hell-level Dragon Outpost dungeon again. My level had risen to 24, and Ake's exclusive outpost set was almost complete. But as we teleported out of the dungeon, the crowd around us pointed in a direction and exclaimed, that's the Godslayer. We saw a beast pulling a cart, slowly approaching. On the cart were members of the Japanese team, led by their captain, a Godslayer summoner who had a grudge against me. The crowd speculated that they were here to clear the Hell-level dungeon and obtain the hidden title. Little did they know, I had already obtained the unique hidden title. At that moment, the Godslayer summoner noticed that Ake and I looked familiar. After a moment of thought, he realized he had encountered his enemy. As the Abyssal army descended upon the war fortress, everyone was fighting for their lives. But I, a level 24 rookie, volunteered to take the initiative. Earlier, after clearing the Hell-level dungeon with Ake again, we had just exited the dungeon when we ran into our Japanese nemesis. The Japanese team, seeing my level, burst into laughter. A level 24 rookie dares to come to the battlefield? Are you here to feed the abyssal demons? But the Godslayer summoner was utterly shocked. He remembered that when we first met on Mermaid Island, I was only around level 10. In just a few days, I had already reached level 24. He knew the strength of my skeleton army. If he didn't deal with me now, he might never get another chance. But when his teammates saw his intentions, they quickly stopped him. They pointed out that the number of Chinese players here far exceeded theirs. If they started a fight, they would be the ones to die. Hearing this, The Godslayer summoner glanced around, and saw the hostile gazes of the crowd. So, he suppressed his killing intent, and declared that he would settle the score with me at the class competition. I hope you won't disappoint me then. With that, he turned and headed into the dungeon entrance. Ake understood that they wanted to fight, but were intimidated by the surrounding Chinese players. I calmly said it didn't matter. Even if I were alone, I could handle them. What intrigued me was the class competition he mentioned. Ake explained the details of the competition to me. Every 5 years, a world-class competition is held for all classes. Each class system has its own events. This year's competition is being held in China. Countless class masters will come to participate. You definitely can't miss it. I'll compete with you in the tournament. The competition is divided into team and solo events. The team event requires forming a 5-member team, and the solo event has very generous rewards. Make sure you sign up when the time comes. Just then, the emblems on our chests began to glow with golden light. Ake immediately realized it was a military order from the Chinese army. At the same time, all Chinese players received the order. The next moment, a loud voice echoed across the battlefield. All Chinese soldiers, return to the war fortress immediately. As soon as the voice faded, everyone began to be forcibly teleported back to the war fortress. Seeing this, the Japanese players couldn't help but marvel. Is this the cohesion of the Chinese army? Something like this would never happen in our country. Soon, we were all teleported back to the war fortress. I immediately asked Shi Xing'an what was happening. Suddenly, a beam of light shot from the demon eye in the sky, pointing toward the abyss. This indicated that a large number of demons were about to attack. From Shi Xing'an, I learned that the demon eye wasn't just for observing the movements of the abyssal demons. It was said that during large-scale battles, it took full command. The voice we heard earlier came from it. Then, the demon eye's voice rang out again. All players below level 30, head to the city walls. Immediately, teleportation portals appeared around us, and the next moment, we were on the city walls. The demon eye then warned, players below level 30 are not allowed to leave the walls. At that moment, a figure on the city walls caught everyone's attention, because he was Nigeria's exclusive legendary class, the Overlord, a godlike presence in the army. At that moment, everyone's morale soared. Just then, the man raised his sword and commanded, form the legion. Under the effect of this skill, no one's skills would harm their allies. The man then thrust his sword into the city wall. The next moment, a mark appeared on everyone's body. Hedgehog attribute increased by 50%. Feeling the power surging through me, I couldn't help but feel helpless, because these buffs had already been overridden by my enhancement talent, causing my skeleton army to miss out on this bonus. At that moment, Ake pointed in a direction and urged me to look. There, the holy summoner stood on the front lines, riding a white horse. He expressionlessly gazed in one direction, where a dark mass of monsters was rapidly approaching. Just as everyone felt fear, a morale-boosting buff landed on them. Attack and defense increased by 30% for 10 minutes. At that moment, a surge of energy rapidly gathered in front of Moyun. In the next second, it transformed into a beam of light, directly striking the pack of demonic hounds. Seeing this, the low-level demons realized the threat Moyun posed. They immediately charged towards him, but Moyun remained calm, using his white horse to repel them. At the same time, countless elemental attacks rained down on the monster army. Then, the skeleton warriors charged down the city wall under everyone's gaze. Who on earth summoned these? There are so many of them. In an instant, hundreds of skeleton warriors charged towards the monster army. The strength of the skeleton warriors stunned everyone. With just one slash, they could kill a demonic hound. But the frontline fighters were no match for the demons, suffering heavy casualties. Watching them being thrown as food to the demonic hounds, I realized that if I took the initiative, I could reduce the casualties significantly. So, I approached Nishong and calmly said, I request to join the battle outside the city. While others were still struggling against the monsters, I single-handedly annihilated the entire abyssal army. This caused the Abyss Demon King to personally descend upon the war fortress. With just one ordinary skill, he shattered my bone armor instantly. Even the transferred damage cost me all my skeleton warriors. Just moments ago, after the officer approved my request, Ake watched my departing figure with concern. After all, there were many low-level demons outside the city. But in my eyes, these monsters were just military merits and experience. Seeing me appear, Shi Xing'an was also puzzled. Junior Lin, you're only level 20-something. Why are you joining the battle outside? I calmly replied, I'm here to clear the field. With that, I summoned my skeleton army. But my appearance immediately caught the attention of the demons. The demonic hounds in combat quickly disengaged and charged towards me. They were seeking revenge for their offspring. Watching the horde of monsters swarm in, I remained unfazed. I clapped my hands and cast a slow curse. In an instant, all the monsters and demons were immobilized. My greatest advantage was the corpses on the battlefield. They maximized the effectiveness of my corpse explosion skill. As the monster corpses glowed red, a violent explosion swept across the battlefield. The low-level demons who reacted quickly fled desperately. But in the end, they were engulfed by the scorching flames. Countless kill notifications popped up. Seeing this, Moyun was utterly shocked. Is this his skill? How is it so terrifying? Some people were so frightened they dropped their weapons. Even a second-tier professional couldn't clear the field alone. But he did it. It just shows how powerful his necromancer class is. Shi Xing'an, on the other hand, felt relieved. Thankfully, Junior Lin is a student of our Shaojing Academy. Here's the translation for lines *** 1201 to 1300 ***. After the explosive skills effect, only a few injured demon fists remained on the battlefield. Next, I'll leave it to my skeletons. Mo Yun finally realized, the aura that disgusted her came from these undead, just as the last demon hound was slain by the skeleton warrior. The Abyss Demon King's gaze instantly locked onto this skeleton warrior. At the same time, I sensed that I had lost connection with this skeleton warrior. The next moment, a roar from the Demon King echoed from the Abyss portal. So it's you, Lin Moyu of the Divine Empire. I will personally kill you. Hearing this, I walked straight up to the portal. I'll see who's pretending to be mysterious inside. But everyone was shocked by my actions. That's a portal created by the Abyss Demon King. Is he planning to attack the Dark Mist? That's not something we can handle at our level. The skeleton warrior carried the demon's corpse to the portal. But as the demon's corpse exploded inside, the voice within didn't disappear. Instead, his hatred for me grew stronger. Seeing that I couldn't harm him, I realized I still had a long way to go. But just as I was about to leave, a pair of blood-red eyes appeared behind me. The next second, 2 red beams shot out from the eyes, instantly piercing through the skeleton warrior behind me. But the attack didn't weaken. I quickly activated my abyss armor to block, but it shattered in less than 2 seconds. The red beam directly hit my body, transferring the damage, and instantly costing me 124 skeletons. Even so, the red beam didn't weaken. At that critical moment, the demon eye in the sky emitted a golden light, striking the dark mist, and a piercing scream followed. This barely saved my life. Ake quickly ran over to check on my injuries. What I didn't expect was that the Abyss Demon King could attack me through the portal, and with such power, it almost cost me my white god's spiritual imprint. At that moment, my desire to grow stronger intensified. Just wait, Abyss Demon King. Then, Ni Shang announced our victory in this battle, and began distributing military merits. My death scythe finally underwent a historic transformation. Originally, it could only summon skeleton armies for battle, but now it could form a boss army. This was because the death scythe gained a new skill, soul summoning, which could record the souls of all bosses I killed. By consuming spiritual energy, I could summon these souls to fight. After the demon eye repelled the Abyss Demon King, Ni Shang announced our victory in this defensive battle, and began distributing points. In this battle, we eliminated 10,000 demon hounds, and 100 demon dogs, earning a total of 25,000 military merits, out of 1,000 combatants. Except for Lin Moyu and Mo Yun, everyone else received 20 merits each. Mo Yun received 500 merits, while Lin Moyu received 3,500 merits. Hearing this, Mo Yun smiled slightly. He's the man I admire the most. It's only fair he receives so many merits. The other combatants also praised him, saying he deserved the merits. He killed 80% of the demons on the battlefield. Without him, we would have lost many talents. However, the Holy Knight Zhou Lisheng didn't accept the result. I fought hard against the demons, but the merits I received aren't even a fraction of his. This is a disgrace. Meanwhile, my focus was on the death scythe in my hand. After absorbing numerous abyss souls, it was undergoing a transformation. Many combatants had their ranks promoted. After receiving their merits, I noticed that the death scythe had absorbed a large number of abyss souls, and was now undergoing a transformation. At the same time, many combatants had their ranks promoted. After receiving their merits, the battle had truly changed everything. My military rank was also rapidly increasing. It only stopped when the badge turned silver. Everyone was shocked when they saw this. It's actually a silver sentinel badge. Ake then playfully saluted me. Sir, you are now a divine sentinel, and possibly the youngest sentinel. As soon as he finished speaking, Ni Shang slowly walked towards me. Lin Moyu, 18 years old, the youngest sentinel of the Divine Empire, is hereby granted the title, Heart of the Divine. The next second, a title appeared above my head. All attributes increased by 300. Skill consumption reduced by 20%. Damage reduction increased by 10%. When Nishong saw the title above my head, he was shocked. You actually have another title? Where did the title, Dragon War King, come from? Hearing this, I had no choice but to explain honestly. This title is a unique hidden title, obtained by soloing the Hell level dungeon, Dragon Frontline Outpost. Its effect is to increase all attributes by 500, and reduce all skill consumption by 50%. Hearing this, Mo Yun was also in disbelief, because he had also tried to solo the Outpost dungeon before, but almost died in the process. Nishong patted my shoulder and said, "Not bad, not bad. Our nation has gained another genius. As a reward, I grant you access to the military facilities in the fortress. However, using these facilities will consume military merits, so spend them wisely." After everything was settled, I returned to the fortress. By now, the Death Scythe had completed its transformation. I noticed that its level had reached the maximum of level 25. Not only did my spiritual energy increase by 3,000 points, to continue leveling up, I needed to unlock the set. It seems I'll have to gather information about the other set pieces. After this transformation, the Death Scythe gained a new skill, Soul Summoning. It can record the souls of all bosses I kill, and by consuming spiritual energy, I can summon these souls to fight. Seeing the skill description, I was shocked. This means that if I kill enough bosses, I can form an army of bosses. It seems I'll have to continue farming the Hell level outpost dungeon. Later, I learned from Shi Xing'an that several war fortresses of the Divine Empire had been attacked, and even fortresses in other countries had suffered varying degrees of damage. Our fortress number 1 was the farthest from the abyss, with 9 other fortresses blocking the abyss's forces. Therefore, the strongest enemies we faced this time were low-level demons. But there's no guarantee that demons skilled in stealth and assassination haven't appeared. Hearing this, Vak looked at me with concern. You've been marked by the Abyss Demon King. Be extra careful when moving around the battlefield from now on. At that moment, the communicator on his wrist buzzed. He opened it, and saw that his grandfather was looking for him. Soon, an old man walked over slowly. The moment I saw him, my pupils dilated. The badge on his chest was a 5-star Divine General badge. I never expected that someone on par with White God would be Ake's grandfather. Ake quickly greeted him. "Grandpa, what are you doing here?" But when the dean saw me with his granddaughter, he was furious. "Lin Moyu, how did you get involved with my granddaughter?" Just as he clenched his fist to teach me a lesson, Ake stopped him. The dean then quickly explained that he was just testing my courage. After Ake introduced me, I politely saluted the dean. "Junior, Lin Moyu greets you, senior." I already knew in my heart that he was likely the principal of Shaojing Academy. Seeing my politeness, he decided to let the matter go. But suddenly, he exploded in anger. That old fool White God. While I was away from the academy, he actually took it upon himself to send you on such a dangerous mission. Here's the translation for lines *** 1401 to 1500 ***. Good thing you're fine, otherwise, I'd have a bone to pick with him. Now, come back with Grandpa. I'll assign you a different task. But Ake insisted on staying with me to complete the remaining mission. Hearing this, Dean Ning immediately turned his attention to me. "Lin boy, what kind of spell have you cast on my granddaughter?" However, Ake explained that she had chosen to stay with me willingly. Hearing this, Dean Ning had no choice but to relent. "Then, Grandpa will send a few people to help you with the mission." But Ake quickly pulled out a dagger and said, "Grandpa, look at this." He immediately recognized it as a golden dagger dropped from the Hell level outpost dungeon. Seeing this, and the faintly visible, Dragon War King, title above my head, he was utterly shocked. "No, this kid is too dangerous. I need to go back and ask old Bai what's going on with him." I never expected that the legendary God of Slaughter, who once single-handedly wiped out tens of thousands of demons, would now be blocked at the dungeon entrance by a foreign team. Their leader even tried to intimidate me, but the skeleton warrior knocked him to the ground with a single strike. It turned out that just moments ago, Dean Ning had arrived at the battlefield to take Ake away from me. But when he saw the Dragon War King title above my head, he immediately changed his attitude and allowed Ake to stay by my side, because he knew that my future achievements would surpass his. Later, I went to the military facilities inside the war fortress to purchase items. Opening the military shop, I found that the dungeon escape scrolls were perfect for my needs. They would be useful for my upcoming Hell-level dungeon run at the Dragon Outpost, so I bought 2 and gave 1 to Ake. Just then, the holy summoner Mo Yun approached us. He wanted my help to defeat the battlefield Ghost King. He handed Ake 2 golden stones, explaining that they were for teleportation. Once I located the Ghost King, They could teleport to my location. He also mentioned that after the Ghost King's death, at least 3 Nirvana crystals would drop, and he only needed 1. The rest would be ours, as they would be of great use to us. Hearing this, I agreed without hesitation. What puzzled me was why he chose me instead of others, given that I was only level 24, and might not be able to handle a level 38 world boss. But Ake pointed out that my ability to solo hell-level dungeons already made me stronger than Mo Yun. After all, even Mo Yun couldn't solo hell-level dungeons. The priority now was to level up quickly, so I decided to use the cooldown scrolls to continue farming the hell-level dragon outpost. Soon, I reached level 25, and with the attribute bonuses, my dungeon clearing speed increased significantly. In less than 2.5 hours, we reached the dragon leader. After defeating it, I immediately used soul summoning on its corpse. The next second, the dragon leader's soul began to merge with the death scythe, as Ake happily exited the dungeon, ready to continue. We noticed a group of people approaching us with great fanfare. Move aside. One of them tried to push me away, but found he couldn't budge me. He was shocked but then turned to Ake, yelling, "Get out of the way. You're dirtying our prince's red carpet." Just as he was about to push Ake, a sword suddenly came down on his arm. Terrified, he collapsed to the ground. As a skeleton warrior glared at him, Ake warned me to be careful. At that moment, a longsword suddenly slashed down at his arm. The man was so frightened that he collapsed to the ground. As a skeleton warrior stared at him menacingly, Ake reminded me to stay cautious. "They're from the Guro Church." At that moment, a voice from inside the carriage called out to stop them. Hearing the voice, the knights immediately bowed respectfully. Then, a nobleman stepped out of the carriage. But when he saw Ake's stunning beauty, he was momentarily stunned. So, he turned to the man who had confronted us earlier and said, "How could you be so rude? Step back immediately." Then, he bowed deeply to Ake. "My subordinate was out of line earlier. I apologize on his behalf." He then began introducing himself, claiming to be a level 31 fire god warrior from the Guro Church. The crowd around us was shocked. Heavens, it's a fire god warrior. It's said that the Guro Church inherits divine power, and the fire god warrior inherits the power of the fire god. But some people were unimpressed. What nonsense! A fire god warrior is just a legendary fire-based class, compared to the legend, who single-handedly killed tens of thousands of demons. He's nothing. At that moment, Rogers extended a hand to Ake. "Beautiful lady, would you do me the honor of joining me in a dungeon run?" Hearing this, I immediately stepped in front of Ake. "You're not qualified." I never expected that the legendary God of Slaughter, who once single-handedly wiped out tens of thousands of demons, would now be ambushed by a foreign team inside a dungeon. But my strength far exceeded their expectations. With a single move, I annihilated all the combatants. Even the skeleton warriors could overpower Rogers, a legendary class. It turned out that, after I brought Ake out of the hell-level dungeon, we encountered the fire god warrior from the Guro Church. Stunned by Ake's beauty, he immediately offered to level up with her, but I told him he wasn't qualified. Hearing this, Rogers sneered, "You're just a level 25 rookie. I'm clearly more qualified than you, and this time, I'm here to solo the hell-level outpost dungeon and claim the legendary title. With your strength, you'd struggle to even clear a nightmare dungeon with her." But Ake couldn't help but laugh. At the same time, the crowd around us also chuckled. Seeing this, Rogers was confused. Just then, one of his subordinates hurried over and informed him that the outpost title had already been claimed by the young man before him. Hearing this, Rogers was stunned, but then he quickly gathered his team and devised a plan. One of the team leaders expressed concern. "This is the territory of the Divine Empire. Won't this provoke a war between our nations?" Rogers sneered. "If we're discreet, nothing will happen. Even if they die, everyone will think they perished in the dungeon." As Ake and I entered the dungeon again, Rogers quickly crushed a dungeon tracking scroll. The next second, his entire team disappeared from the dungeon entrance and reappeared in front of us. Rogers smirked. "Didn't expect us to follow, did you? You shouldn't have taken the title that belongs to me. I'll have to kill you and take it back." With that, he crushed a teleportation seal scroll. The next moment, Ake discovered that her dungeon escape scroll had been disabled. Rogers, now confident, said, "Don't waste your energy. You can't escape. This is the consequence of offending the Guro Church." Then, he leaned closer to Ake and said, "I wouldn't have the heart to kill you. I'll make you my plaything instead." Hearing this, I laughed. "Since you use the teleportation seal scroll, it means you can't use dungeon teleportation either. And how do you know where the prey?" With that, I prepared for battle. With that, I summoned my skeleton army. Since you've come here to die, you might as well stay. However, Rogers looked at them with disdain. Just a bunch of broken skeletons? You think they can kill me? I'm a legendary class, the Fire God Warrior. With that, he activated his combat form, the Fire God's body. In this state, all my attributes are tripled. Skill damage is tripled, and I have 300% damage reduction. I'm also immune to all control skills. How do your broken skeletons stand a chance against me? Without hesitation, I cast a slowing curse on the others, immobilizing them. Then, I ordered my skeleton army to prioritize eliminating them. Rogers tried to block the skeleton army alone, but was immediately knocked back by a single strike from a skeleton warrior. Seeing this, the others were filled with despair. If even the prince can't defeat these skeletons, how can we handle them? Soon, the skeleton army reached them, and within moments, all of them were killed. I smiled faintly. It's your incompetence that led to your subordinates' deaths. Enraged, Rogers shouted, I'll make sure you join them in death. But I calmly drew my death scythe and said, didn't you want to solo the hell-level dragon outpost? Let's test my new skill on you. The next moment, the dragon leader's spirit appeared before him in spectral form. In less than half a month since enrolling, I had mastered the power of soul summoning, and could even control the spirits of kings. With a single strike, the dragon leader forced Rogers to his knees, begging for mercy. It turned out that while I was farming the hell-level dungeon with Ake, Rogers had used a tracking scroll to follow us with his entire team, but in less than half a minute, I had eliminated all his subordinates. Afterward, I summoned the spirit of the dragon guardian to fight him. Seeing this, Rogers was shocked. He couldn't believe that I could summon a boss from a hell-level dungeon. Before he could react, the dragon leader was already in front of him. With a single strike, the massive dragon blade slammed into his sword, sending him flying into the wall. As he struggled to his feet, he realized his fire god's body state had vanished. At that moment, his fighting spirit crumbled, but the dragon guardian's blade was already descending upon him. Desperate, Rogers abandoned his pride and began to beg for his life. I'm the divine son of the fire god temple in the Guro church. Spare me, and I'll give you anything. But I remained unmoved. With a final strike, the dragon guardian ended his life. Afterward, Ake looted his body and scoffed. I thought this divine son was so noble, but he begged for his life like anyone else. Still, you've killed a divine son of the Guro church. Aren't you afraid of their retaliation? Before I could answer, she added, no matter what, I'll stand by your side. Meanwhile, in the Guro church, a stone statue began to crack. The onlookers were horrified. Divine son Rogers must be in trouble. Quick, summon the high priest. Back at the academy, Ake and I returned from the hell-level dungeon. Since our cooldown scrolls needed recharging, we headed to the exchange to sell our extra equipment. The staff were shocked to see the hell-level dungeon gear I was selling. Who's this expert selling such rare items? As I left the exchange, I received a call from White God. You're back and didn't even tell me? Come see me right now. But when he saw my level, he was momentarily speechless. You've grown stronger than I expected. Now, let's talk about your next mission. Damn, how did you reach level 26 so quickly? But I said, if I hadn't been carrying someone through the hell dungeon, I might have already been level 27. Old Meng burst into laughter upon hearing this. I bet the person you were carrying was the Dean's precious granddaughter, right? After learning that I soloed the Hell Difficulty Dragon Clan outpost, White God curiously asked, did you obtain that legendary title? Hearing this, I quickly showed the Dragon Clan War King title above my head. Not only did I get this title, but I also earned the Heart of the Godslayer title. During the defense battle, White God was overjoyed. Good, good, good. You're truly someone I've set my sights on. Then I took out the cooling amulet and asked him to recharge it. And also brought out Dragon Clan materials for him to help craft the Tyrant necklace. As payment, White God said he had a small request to win the championship in my category at the upcoming professional competition in 10 days. After that, I took out Regoth's Fire God set. White God was shocked. The Fire God set from the ancient Luo church. How did it end up in your hands? Old Meng suddenly realized. You kid, did you kill the Fire God warrior from the ancient Luo church? He's a legendary professional, highly valued by the ancient Luo church. I had no choice but to explain everything that happened in the dungeon. But as soon as I finished speaking, a terrifying aura erupted from Old Meng's body, causing the entire backyard to tremble. How dare they ambush our students on the territory of the Godslayer Empire? I heard they have a way to resurrect using divine statues. Maybe that warrior kid isn't dead yet. At this point, White God slowly stood up. It's been a long time since I've taken action. It seems some people have forgotten my other name. It turns out White God's other identity is the god of slaughter from Washaw. This reminded me of history I'd read in books. White God once single-handedly invaded H country, killing 2 of the 3 top experts, and nearly wiping out the entire nation. Soon, a blazing fireball appeared above the ancient Luo church. 2 figures emerged beside the fireball. Dean Ning roared, "Go back. Get the hell out here." White God and Ning Tyran were furious. In their rage, they destroyed the ancient Luo church's divine sun and statue. It turned out that after White God learned I and Ake were ambushed in the dungeon, he and Ning Tyran descended upon the ancient Luo church to demand an explanation. Sensing the danger, the church's leader and elders immediately appeared. Who dares to trespass on the ancient Luo church's grounds? But the next moment, he broke into a cold sweat. Not only is Ning Tyran a god-level professional, but White God is also known as the god of slaughter from Washaw. He quickly lowered his stance and apologized. "Welcome, esteemed guests. If we've offended you in any way, I, on behalf of the ancient Luo church, apologize." The disciples below were in disbelief. "Is this the end of our ancient Luo church?" Ning Tyran said angrily. "You have a kid named Rigoth in your church, right? Bring him out now." The church leader quickly ordered the elders to bring the recently resurrected Rigoth. Then he cautiously asked, "How has Rigoth offended you, sirs?" Thinking that Rigoth, as the divine son of the fire god temple, he wanted to spare his life if possible. However, Ning Tyran just coldly glanced at him. "He didn't offend us, but he offended my precious grandson and White God's disciple." Precious disciple. Hearing this, the church leader was shocked. He thought, "This is bad. This is worse than offending them personally. What the hell did Rigoth do?" At this moment, the elders brought Rigoth over. However, when he saw this scene, he thought it was the fire god descending. But the next second, he was pulled into the air by a force. The church leader quickly explained, "This is the person you're looking for. He was just resurrected a few days ago." Ning Tyran immediately unleashed a mental pressure on him. As a force surged into Rigoth's mind, his inner hatred was instantly amplified. "That kid dared to kill me. I'll kill him sooner or later. Even his woman will become my plaything." Hearing this, the church leader felt a sense of dread. This is bad. Rigoth's inner thoughts have been completely exposed. He wanted to plead for mercy, but a single glance from White God made him too afraid to speak. After all, White God once nearly wiped out the entire H5. If he were angered, the entire ancient Luo church could be destroyed. At this moment, Ning Tyran calmly said, "Since he died once and was resurrected, it means he has a mark left in the church's divine statue." He slowly raised his hand, and the next second, a blazing fireball descended upon Rigoth and the church below. The elders quickly shouted, "Everyone, run!" However, Rigoth laughed maniacally. "You can't kill me. I can still be resurrected." But the next second, he was turned to ash before he could even scream. Immediately after, a massive explosion erupted within the church. Seeing this, the church leader was helpless. He could only hope the 2 would be satisfied with this. Seeing the elders' hopeful eyes, he could only sigh in resignation. At least the others can survive. Given the temper of those 2, it's merciful that they didn't wipe us out. Think about how many died in H country back then. Now that the divine statue is destroyed, our ancient Luo church is severely weakened. We'll likely have to lay low for a long time. Meanwhile, White God and Ning Tyran returned to Shajing Academy. As soon as White God sat down, he teased Ning Tyran. "Old Ning, when did your temper become so mild? Did spoiling your granddaughter change you? You're no different. In the past, you would have wiped out the entire ancient Luo church." Although White God claimed he was just tired of killing, only Old Meng knew he spared them to let them kill more abyssal monsters. Soon, the 100th professional competition arrived. At this moment, I was preparing to sign up for the competition. From what I knew, the competition was divided into 3 categories: team battles, solo battles, and challenge battles. Each level was divided into tiers, and I was in the 20 to 29 level tier. The rewards were also very generous. For the team battles under level 40, the champion of each tier would receive a flash primary scroll, along with a primary divine potion and 50 million energy points. With my current strength, winning the championship shouldn't be a problem. I just wonder what the rules and rewards for the challenge battles will be. At that moment, I coincidentally ran into Xia Shui and the others. They curiously asked about my current level. I told them I had already reached level 26. They were stunned. "Damn, what kind of insane leveling speed is that? I've been grinding for a month and only reached level 17. This is insane." Baili Sheng, the grandson of the Baili Academy's dean, is finally going to die. It turned out that on my way to sign up for the competition, I ran into Xia Shui and the others, and my level left them utterly shocked. At that moment, Ake also arrived. Seeing her, Xia Shui couldn't help but ask, "Who is this?" Before I could explain, Ake stammered, and introduced herself as just my friend, and shared her class and level with everyone. Xia Shui was shocked once again, but Ake quickly added that all of this was thanks to me. Hearing this, Xia Shui immediately realized that I must have been leveling her up. A hint of jealousy crept into her heart. Still, she politely introduced herself as my high school classmate. The other two teased. Being too talented comes with its own troubles. Then Xia Shui and the others left to look for teammates. Meanwhile, Ake felt a sudden unease. It turned out that before meeting her, I already had such a beautiful girl by my side, so she asked about my relationship with Xia Shui, wondering if we were close. I quickly explained that we were just ordinary classmates. Ake chuckled, "You're just too dense. If I had such a beautiful classmate, I'd definitely pursue her." With that, she prepared to leave. But then she noticed Zhang Taotao and the others, who had fought alongside us on Renyu Island. She quickly approached and asked if they were here for the competition, and if they had found a team yet. Miao Yu, standing nearby, grumbled, "Those guys think our levels are too low, and don't want to team up with us." At that moment, I invited them to join our team. Zhang Taotao didn't immediately agree. He had heard that I could solo the Desert Tyrant dungeon with others. He thought that if he joined my team, winning the championship would be almost guaranteed. But he had one condition. If we won the championship, they only wanted a small share of the Academy's contribution points. The other two quickly agreed. Yeah, we don't need anything else. Just some contribution points would be enough. After all, without you, we probably wouldn't even find a team at our level. Hearing this, I immediately understood their decision. If I didn't agree, they might not join the team. So I agreed to their condition. Then we went to the registration desk to sign up as a team. At that moment, Li Sheng and a lackey approached from afar, with boss's strength and some reliable teammates. The championship of this professional competition is definitely ours, but the others kept their distance, afraid of offending the grandson of the Bailey Academy's dean. Then Li Sheng noticed me and Ake. Why is Ake teaming up with another man? But when he saw it was me, he immediately blocked our path. Ake looked at him with disgust. "That disgusting guy is here again. Why are you with this guy?" As he spoke, he noticed our close interaction. His expression gradually darkened. Ake said irritably, "Who I'm with is none of your business." Li Sheng was furious. "You say it's none of my business? Everyone knows you're my fiancé. Shut your mouth. You proposed, and I rejected you. Yet you keep spreading rumors that I'm your fiancé. Out of respect for our family's relationship, I didn't make a big deal out of it. Keep lying, and you'll start believing it yourself. If you need to, go see a therapist to fix your brain before you go crazy in public." Ake was eager to explain, because she was afraid I'd misunderstand. But I knew that anyone who could make her this angry wasn't worth my time. Besides, I had seen Li Sheng's true colors back in the dungeon hall. He was nothing but trouble. At this moment, Li Sheng escalated the situation, saying, "This isn't over. You're my woman, and no one can take you away. Damn you, Lin Mu. Last time, in the dungeon hall, you stole the record from our Bailey Academy. Now you're trying to steal my woman?" I didn't even bother to look at him. "Shut up, you annoying mosquito." Hearing this, Li Sheng exploded in anger. "You're dead, kid. I'll kill you sooner or later." As soon as he said this, Ake and the others immediately drew their weapons, ready to fight. Even I felt such a strong urge to kill for the first time. But at that moment, Li Sheng suddenly looked terrified. A figure slowly descended behind him. "Who did you say you wanted to kill?" Unexpectedly, I, as a new recruit, entered the battlefield again, only to be looked down upon by ordinary soldiers of the war fortress. But then, I simply summoned a few skeleton warriors, and they were left utterly shocked. It turned out, while I was registering for the competition with Ake and the others, we encountered the grandson of the Bailey Academy's dean, Li Sheng. When he saw Ake, whom he liked, with me, he immediately threatened to kill me. The next second, White God appeared behind him. "Who did you say you wanted to kill?" Seeing who it was, Li Sheng collapsed in fear. "Respected White God." I didn't say anything. Seeing his terrified state, White God lost interest in killing him. "Get out of here. If there's a next time, I'll personally deliver your head to silver." Hearing this, Li Sheng fled without looking back. Then White God slowly landed in front of me and Ake. "Kid, if I hadn't shown up, were you planning to fight?" I told him I would have killed him outright. White God continued, "Aren't you afraid of the forces behind him? His grandfather, Bailey, the dean, is a top-tier level 81 professional." But I said I had already considered the consequences. At worst, I'd return to the battlefield, and I was confident I could survive there. Hearing this, White God satisfiedly patted my shoulder. Good kid, you've got the same spirit I had back in the day. Don't hesitate when it comes to action. Just like when you killed that ancient Luo church divine son. You killed him, and that was that. Old Ning flattened the ancient Luo church, and they didn't dare say a word. In this world, strength is the only truth. The fear others have for you is earned through your own power. After saying this, he tossed the recharged cooling amulet to me. The method to upgrade. The amulet has been sent to your communicator. Once you gather the required materials, I'll have someone upgrade it for you. I've also sent you a new mission. After explaining everything, he left. Learning that Ake and I had a mission, Zhang Taotao agreed to meet us. When the competition started, after they left, I began reviewing the mission White God gave me. It turned out I was to go to Fortress 3, to kill abyssal demons, raise my military rank to 2-star sentinel, and retrieve elemental crystals from the elemental secret realm. Outside the fortress, seeing this, Ake immediately shared information about the area with me. The battlefield outside Fortress 3 is also known as the Elemental Plains. A large-scale battle once took place there, where over 100 third-tier elemental mages cast more than 1,000 forbidden-level spells. Since then, the area has been elementalized, and many elemental creatures have emerged. However, I've never seen these elemental creatures myself. Curious, I said, let's go see for ourselves. So I took him to the Academy's teleportation platform to head to our destination. The next second, we appeared on the teleportation platform of Fortress 3. To save time, we immediately headed to the elemental plains outside the fortress. But as soon as we reached the exit, we were stopped by soldiers. The weakest monsters on the plains are level 33. You two are only level 26 at most. Don't go out there to die. At that moment, the guard captain arrived after hearing the commotion. Where are your elders? Why did they send you here? This is no place for someone of your level. Just then, a monster appeared in the distance. It was a level 33 fire elemental spirit. Suddenly, the guard captain looked horrified. He noticed that several skeleton warriors had appeared beside me. Moreover, the speed of these skeleton warriors left him astonished. Their strength far exceeded his expectations. With a single strike, they killed the fire elemental spirit. This scene left the two soldiers questioning reality. They couldn't believe that a level 26 summoner's creatures could instantly kill a level 33 monster. The next moment, the guard captain was shocked again. He noticed the sentinel badge on my chest. He recalled that he only became a sentinel at level 38, while I was just 18 years old. He quickly apologized and let us pass. Then Ake and I set off to find the materials. But shortly after we left, we encountered a monster, a wind elemental spirit with flight abilities. I immediately summoned skeleton mages, who were effective against flying monsters, while others would flee for their lives on the battlefield. I used less than a tenth of my strength, leaving everyone present in shock. Shortly after Ake and I left the fortress, we encountered the wind elemental spirit. I summoned skeleton mages, whose ranged elemental attacks were perfect for countering these flying abyssal monsters. However, what annoyed me was that they dissipated upon death, rendering my corpse explosion skill useless. Just then, the ground began to shake violently, as if something major was about to happen. A group of professionals came fleeing from the depths of the elemental plains, shouting for help. Looking around, I saw a large number of elemental spirits chasing them. Ake was shocked. Did these guys provoke the elemental spirits' nest? But I was thrilled, because I knew this was due to the appearance of the elemental secret realm. When the elemental secret realm appears, the elements become chaotic, spawning a large number of elemental spirits. So I headed straight for the depths of the elemental plains. The others thought I was suicidal. Kid, can't you see the elemental spirits behind us? Run. But I ignored them and summoned my skeleton army. With a single command, the skeleton army charged at the elemental spirits. The elemental spirits, facing the overpowered skeletons, were instantly suppressed. Kill notifications popped up one after another. Just then, a scream caused Ake's head to split with pain. Due to my high mental strength, I wasn't affected at all. But I knew the scream came from the elemental queen inside the secret realm. It seems we need to finish this quickly. I immediately cast a slow curse, freezing all the elemental spirits in place. The skeletons seized the opportunity to unleash a barrage of attacks. Meanwhile, the professionals who had fled were relieved to have survived. They were puzzled to find that the elemental spirits had stopped chasing them. Suddenly, one of them pointed at the distant battlefield and shouted, "Look!" Watching the elemental spirits fall one by one to my skeleton army, those who had mocked me were stunned. This kid's class is terrifying. To think we called him crazy earlier. As the last elemental spirit died, A portal appeared before us. Without hesitation, I took Ake into the secret realm. Inside, we found ourselves in a snowy world, with an ice palace standing before us. We stepped inside, ready to face whatever awaited us. The interior was a frozen wonderland, with icy corridors leading deeper into the palace. To save time, I summoned skeleton warriors to scout the path. Soon, we located the elemental queen. We headed straight for her, but along the way, we encountered a man radiating cold energy, sitting on a throne. His stats panel appeared, and I was surprised to see his agility was 0. However, he had the ability to have physical damage. Noticing our presence, he immediately launched ice elemental attacks. Ake and I were forced to dodge repeatedly. This made me realize his agility was 0 because he had merged with the ice palace, making his ice elemental attacks extremely powerful. While dodging, I summoned skeletons to counterattack. Although his physical immunity reduced the skeleton's damage, I had enough skeletons to overwhelm him. But then, the elemental general unleashed an area of effect skill. Under the barrage of elemental attacks, my skeleton numbers began to dwindle. I had no choice but to recall all the skeletons back to the summoning space. Suddenly, I noticed with horror that the elemental general's wounds were slowly healing. Is this the regeneration ability he gained from having 0 agility? But as long as the damage exceeded his healing speed, he could be defeated. So I summoned the soul of the dragon clan leader to join the fight. His stats were slightly higher than the elemental general's, as expected of a boss from a hell difficulty dungeon. To end the battle quickly, I summoned all my remaining skeletons. For the first time, my overwhelming power was revealed to the world. While others struggled with the monsters of the battlefield, I swept through the elemental secret realm with unstoppable force. While searching for the boss, I encountered the water elemental general, a mini-boss of the secret realm. What frustrated me was that his skills countered my skeleton army. So I summoned the soul of the dragon clan leader to fight alongside me. The next moment, the water elemental general unleashed his skill, Ice Cyclone. Countless ice shards rained down on the dragon clan leader, but the attacks didn't even scratch him. I realized this was due to his passive skill, Resistance Enhancement. Once the water elemental general exhausted his skills, I summoned the skeleton army to counterattack again. But as the skeleton's attacks landed on him, a terrifying torrent of water erupted from his body. This was another large AoE skill, flooding the area within 100 meters. I couldn't help but sigh. These skills really counter my skeletons. Fortunately, my skeletons had already transferred to the dragon clan leader. When the flood subsided, the skeleton army charged at the water elemental general again. The dragon clan leader, who had been holding back, now launched a devastating attack. With a single slash, the water elemental general's body turned into a pool of water and dissipated. The system notified me that I had killed the water elemental general, rewarding me with 1.48 million EXP and 10 water elemental crystals. Afterward, I recalled the dragon clan leader's soul and attempted to use the summon soul skill on the spot where the water elemental general had disappeared, but there was no response. I realized it was likely because elemental beings had no souls. Ake sensed that the elemental chaos in the area had lessened significantly, likely due to the water elemental general's death. We then continued to our next destination, the Sea of Flames. The journey ahead promised even greater challenges, but I was ready. With Ake by my side and my army of skeletons, I was confident we could conquer anything. As we moved forward, the icy corridors gave way to scorching heat, signaling our arrival at the Sea of Flames. Upon reaching the Sea of Flames, we found it even more dangerous than the glacier. To ensure our safety, I equipped us with Sea Valley armor. I couldn't help but wonder, after the glacier and now the Sea of Flames, perhaps we'll next face the world of wind and the world of thunder. Soon, we discovered a burning volcano at the center of the area. Suddenly, the volcano opened its eyes, and a stats panel appeared. It was one of the secret realm's mini-bosses, the Fire Elemental General, another immobile elemental monster. But there was no effective way to deal with such creatures, except to overwhelm them with the sheer numbers of my skeleton army. But the next moment, scorching flames erupted from the Fire Elemental General's body, transforming into an indiscriminate area of effect attack. This was deadly for my melee-focused skeleton warriors, so I summoned all my skeleton mages and ordered them to cast Ice Storm on the Fire Elemental General. In an instant, countless ice shards rained down on him. The Fire Elemental General, in pain, made a desperate counterattack, using another large-scale skill, Flame Explosion. The next second, the ground within hundreds of meters shook violently, and scorching flames erupted from the ground. Seeing this, I quickly pulled Ake to a safe spot. Meanwhile, the skeleton mages continued their assault. As the fire elemental general weakened, I turned to Ake and said, "It's almost the new year, so I'll give you an early fireworks show." As soon as I finished speaking, the fire elemental general's body exploded, creating a dazzling display of fireworks. In the sky, I awkwardly picked up the fire elemental crystals, dropped by the fire elemental general. Ake looked at me with touched eyes. "I didn't expect you, of all people, to be romantic." Meanwhile, a team of professionals from BPH country also discovered the entrance to the elemental secret realm. But when they entered, they found no elemental spirits around. The captain speculated, someone must have already come in. Hearing this, the team hurried to catch up. But the captain sneered, "I can sense the residual elemental energy. They haven't been here long. With them clearing the way, we can avoid unnecessary losses." I single-handedly defeated the 4 elemental generals, and even faced the elemental queen, the strongest in the secret realm. However, I was ambushed by a team of professionals from H country. After entering the elemental secret realm, they discovered that all the elemental spirits had mysteriously disappeared. The captain concluded, someone must have already been here. He then devised a plan to use me to eliminate all the monsters along the way, and then kill me once we reached the elemental queen's location. This way, they could minimize their team's casualties. They followed our trail, staying close behind us. Meanwhile, Ake and I continued toward the center of the secret realm. Suddenly, a massive figure blocked our path. Another elemental general. This time a combination of 2 elements. I felt a sense of dread, as this elemental general could move, and was a flying monster, which posed a significant challenge. As I pondered my next move, a bolt of lightning struck me. Fortunately, the Sea Valley armor absorbed all the damage. I immediately cast a slow curse on him. Instantly, he was bound by chains, losing his ability to move, but the lightning power within him continued to strike the ground, causing the skeleton warriors below to lose their combat effectiveness. Some skeleton warriors hit by the lightning turned into piles of bones. Fortunately, the skeleton mages in the distance were unaffected. They unleashed a barrage of elemental attacks, forcing the immobilized elemental general to endure the onslaught. As the lightning dissipated, the skeleton warriors began their counterattack. Under the relentless assault of my skeleton army, the elemental general soon dissolved into 2 elemental forces, completely vanishing. The system notified me that I had gained 1.52 million EXP and received 10 wind elemental crystals and 10 thunder elemental crystals. I knew that if I didn't kill the elemental queen soon, the elemental generals I had defeated would soon resurrect, so Ake and I hurried to the elemental queen's location. Soon, we found the elemental palace. On the throne sat a golden-haired beauty, the final boss of the elemental secret realm, the elemental queen. She possessed the ability to have both physical and elemental damage, making her the strongest enemy I had ever encountered. The elemental energy radiating from her prevented the skeleton warriors from approaching. With a single casual strike, she instantly killed several skeleton warriors. Seeing this, I grew worried. My skeletons, after numerous battles, were already heavily damaged, and likely couldn't handle the elemental queen. As I pondered my next move, she began gathering elemental energy. The next moment, 3 elemental beams shot out, instantly killing 5 skeleton warriors. I couldn't help but marvel at her strength, as expected of the queen of the elemental secret realm. Before I could recover from my shock, she used another skill, elemental vortex, creating 2 elemental whirlpools that sucked in all the skeleton warriors. Watching my skeleton warriors perish one by one, I found myself in a dire situation for the first time. Since elemental beings had no souls or bodies, my signature skills, corpse explosion and soul flame, were useless. It seemed I had no choice but to summon the undead general and the dragon clan leader to fight her. Meanwhile, the H country team, seeing me battling the elemental queen, ordered their mage to unleash a deadly spell on me. As the mage began chanting, a massive power gathered around him, but Ake, being an assassin, sensed it immediately and warned me of the ambush. As soon as she spoke, a massive magic circle appeared beneath our feet. Countless flames rained down from above, targeting us, but that wasn't all. As the mage completed his chant, a massive meteor descended from the sky, heading straight for us. Seeing this, I smiled. Perfect timing. I was furious. Lin Moyu was truly furious. Not only had I single-handedly faced the strongest boss of the elemental secret realm, but I also annihilated the entire H country professional team. While I was battling the elemental queen, the H country team finally made their move. As the mage completed his chant, countless meteors imbued with Terrifying energy rained down on Ake and me. Seeing this, I smiled. Perfect timing. I activated the Sea Valley armor, blocking all the attacks. Then, with a thought, I summoned 95 skeleton warriors. That should be enough to deal with them. The H-country professionals, seeing this, were stunned. In their understanding, the Elemental Queen had no undead subordinates. There's only one explanation. These skeletons must be his summons. Realizing this, they quickly assumed combat stances, ready to strike at any moment. But suddenly, their movements froze. The effect of my slow curse. At the same time, I ordered the skeleton mages to attack. The skeleton mages began chanting spells, all targeting their healer. The next moment, hundreds of elemental attacks rained down on him. In just one round of attacks, he was on the brink of death. Seeing this, the captain was shocked by my strength. In less than 2.5 seconds, he nearly killed one of our teammates. If this continues, our entire team will die here. Thinking this, he immediately used a group taunt skill, and then cast a group chain skill on my skeletons, drawing all their aggro onto himself. Next, he took out a potion and signaled his teammates to drink it. As they consumed the purification potion, the slow curse on them vanished instantly. Seizing the opportunity, they managed to save their nearly dead healer. The healer, now free from the curse, immediately cast a healing spell on himself. But the next wave of attacks from the skeleton mages was already descending upon them. The knight captain, seeing this, immediately used a defensive skill, group protection, barely managing to block the skeleton mages' attacks. Ake quickly informed me that they were all level 40 or above, and had undergone their second-class advancement. I tried casting slow curse on them again, but it had no effect. I realized they had consumed a curse immunity potion, which temporarily made them immune to any curses. But so what? Even without slow curse, I could still easily take them down. So I summoned even more skeleton warriors to overwhelm them. Seeing this, the enemy team quickly unleashed skills to push back my skeletons. But they soon discovered their attacks barely scratched the skeleton warriors. Panicked, they cried out, "Captain, what do we do? These summons just won't die." The captain was equally shocked. He hadn't expected me to be so powerful, able to face the Elemental Queen, while simultaneously dealing with their entire team. The next moment, he ordered everyone to retreat. But it was already too late. I slowly raised my hand, and a ghostly blue flame ignited in my palm. The next second, the healer screamed in agony as soul flame engulfed him. This sudden turn of events left the rest of the team in shock. But at that moment, the skeleton mage's elemental attacks followed. After the attack, the captain gasped for breath, urging everyone to retreat. But when he turned around, he found all his teammates dead. Heartbroken, he downed a healing potion in one gulp. As the skeleton warrior's blades came down on him, he activated his ultimate defense skill without hesitation. Then, enduring the skeleton mage's elemental attacks, he fled into the distance. I didn't bother chasing him. A knight determined to escape was hard to stop. Right now, dealing with the Elemental Queen was more important. So I ordered the skeleton warriors to carry the dead professionals' bodies toward her. As the Elemental Queen prepared to unleash another elemental attack, the mage's corpse suddenly appeared in front of her. I used corpse explosion, detonating the mage's body. The Elemental Queen's spellcasting was instantly interrupted. But that wasn't all. 2 more corpses flew toward her. After 2 rounds of violent explosions, the Elemental Queen on her throne was left severely injured. Who would have thought that a seemingly frail man could strike with such force? Could instantly kill a demon that even a professional team couldn't defeat? Everyone who witnessed this was shocked, unable to believe that a seemingly weak level 26 could possess such power. It turned out, after I eliminated the H-country professional team, I used corpse explosion to detonate their bodies against the Elemental Queen. After 4 rounds of explosions, the Elemental Queen was severely injured. Even the elemental energy around her had dimmed significantly. Seeing this, I knew the opportunity to defeat her had come. So I summoned my entire skeleton army and launched a full assault. As expected, the Elemental Queen could no longer use her skills and was forced into melee combat. Under the relentless attacks of the skeleton army, her body shattered into countless fragments and vanished. The system notified me that I had killed the Elemental Queen, gaining 2.34 million EXP and 5 elemental crystals. With the fall of the Elemental Queen, the entire elemental secret realm began to fade. Soon, Ake and I returned to the battlefield. Although most of my skeletons were recovering in the summoning space, didn't plan to return to the academy yet. Instead, I headed to the nearby battlefield to hunt monsters and increase my military rank. But after searching for a while, I only found ordinary abyssal monsters, which gave pitifully little military merit when killed. It seemed I needed to find abyssal demons. However, Ake mentioned that abyssal demons were highly intelligent and rarely appeared randomly, but just then, a distress signal appeared in the sky, not far from us. Seeing this, we hurried toward the signal. Meanwhile, a team of professionals was surrounded by a large number of abyssal monsters. As they prepared to break through a weaker point, a figure blocked their path. Upon closer inspection, it was a level 38 abyssal wolf demon. The captain was so scared he wet himself. An abyssal demon? We're doomed. Meanwhile, Ake and I arrived nearby and spotted the abyssal wolf demon in the sky. Hearing the commotion, the abyssal wolf demon turned to look. He expected high-level professionals to come to the rescue, but instead, he saw a level 26 kid and a level 25 girl. Seeing this, the team was utterly wei-wong. They couldn't believe that their rescuers were such weaklings. At that moment, the abyssal wolf demon moved, and his first target was Ake, who stood behind me. Such tender flesh must taste delicious. As soon as he finished speaking, he appeared in front of me, but just as his claws were about to strike, I cast slow curse, freezing him in midair. Behind him, my skeleton army appeared. The next moment, the skeleton army began clearing the battlefield of monsters. The team was amazed to find that the surrounding monsters were being slaughtered. Seizing the opportunity, they quickly escaped. As they celebrated their escape, they were stunned by what they saw next. The powerful abyssal wolf demon had been instantly killed. What kind of skeletons are those? Even the abyssal wolf demon couldn't resist, and there are hundreds of those terrifying skeletons. The system notified me that I had killed the level 38 abyssal wolf demon, gaining 380,000 EXP and 50 military merit. I also received a demon essence that could be used to craft weapons. I then told the team to leave immediately. As I was about to clear the area, they were confused, not understanding what I meant by clearing the area. Ake explained that I was just going to clean up the remaining monsters and advised them to stay back to avoid getting caught in the crossfire. They nodded, still in shock, and watched as I unleashed my skeletons to finish off the remaining monsters. In no time, the battlefield was cleared, and the team was left in awe of my power. Upon hearing this, several people quickly tried to dissuade him. As long as the abyss wolf demon is killed, and we are saved, that will be enough. The remaining creatures are not something that can be dealt with easily. Quickly call your friend back. However, at this moment, I had already arrived in front of the group of monsters. I slowly raised my hand, and the surrounding monster corpses instantly exploded. A violent explosion swept across the entire battlefield. It's here, it's here. The ultimate battle at the entrance to the abyss has finally begun. Even high-level professionals at level 40 with second-tier classes can only become food for the demons here. Yet, at level 26, I managed to defeat all the demons in the abyss. Just moments ago, I used the explosion skill on the monster corpses on the battlefield, instantly annihilating the remaining monsters. Everyone who witnessed this was utterly shocked. They never expected a level 26 professional to have such dominance. The military merits gained from eliminating the monsters promoted Ark to a 6-star private. He was very satisfied with the speed of his promotion, but I knew that if I wanted to gain more military merits, I would need to find higher-level demons. Just as I was about to leave with Ark, the leader of the professional team behind me called out to me. We owe our escape to your assistance, young man. Given your strength, you surely won't stay in this area for long. The abyss is divided into multiple regions: the surface layer, the middle layer, and the deep layer. Battlefields 1 to 3 correspond only to the surface layer of the abyss. The first to third battlefields below the gods correspond to the entrance of the abyss, where powerful barriers have been set up by strong beings. Powerful abyss demons cannot enter the surface layer. Only some weak demons can sneak in, but even they are not easy for ordinary professionals to deal with. Demons, like human professionals, have a threshold at level 40. Abyss demons above level 40 are very powerful, and are called high-level demons. In the deepest part of the third battlefield, there are areas that overlap with the entrance to the abyss, where one can catch a glimpse of the true abyss. There, the number of abyss demons increases. Moreover, there is a dungeon there. Perhaps that is where you belong. Hearing this, I immediately became interested in the place he mentioned, because more demons meant more military merits to gain. After asking him for the specific location, I set off with Ark towards that place. As we encountered more demon hunting teams along the way, we got closer and closer to our destination. Finally, after 2.5 hours of travel, we arrived at the entrance to the abyss. There, countless sinister eyes emerged from the other side of the entrance, making both Ark and me feel a chill down our spines. Suddenly, a scream came from above us, followed by an abyss demon falling to the ground. Seeing this, I immediately became alert. I soon realized the demon was already dead. Then, a mysterious assassin came into view. He was fully equipped with platinum-grade gear, and even had the ability to fly. Ark immediately recognized that this was a professional above level 40 with a second-tier class. No wonder he could instantly kill a level 38 Abyss Demon. But this also meant we had come to the right place. So, we began searching for other Abyss Demons. However, after half an hour, we only encountered ordinary creatures. No sign of any demons. Just as I thought, all the demons had been killed by the assassin earlier. A group of Abyss Demons suddenly appeared in the sky, with blood continuously falling from their location. Then, a dagger fell from the sky. The moment Ark and I saw the dagger, we immediately recognized it. This was the platinum equipment of the assassin from earlier. Clearly, that mysterious assassin had already been torn apart by this group of demons. Ark looked terrified at the sight, but I remained very calm. Although it was a group of Abyss Demons, only one demon gave me a slight sense of pressure. Then, its attribute panel appeared before my eyes. It was a level 40 high-level demon, with attributes not much different from the Elemental Queen. In the Elemental Dungeon, this meant I had a good chance of killing it. In the air, the Abyss Shadow Demon looked at me and let out a sinister laugh. A level 26 brat dares to come here? His minions chimed in, saying they could have a feast. With that, they charged at us fiercely. Seeing this, I first activated my bone armor, shielding Ark behind me. Then, a wicked smile appeared on my face. It's always been me ganging up on others, not the other way around. With that, I summoned my skeleton army. Seeing this, the Abyss Shadow Demon immediately activated his stealth, trying to retreat, but I wouldn't give him the chance. I clapped my hands and cast a slow curse. The next second, he was bound in midair by red chains. Following that, hundreds of skeleton soldiers went berserk. I, alone, went on a rampage at the entrance to the abyss in the battlefield. But just as I reached the border of the abyss, countless abyss creatures and demons surged into the battlefield from within. Once again, I was in a tough fight. It turned out that after I used the slow curse to trap the Abyss Shadow Demon, my skeleton warriors immediately seized the opportunity and swarmed him, but as the skeleton warriors' furious attacks landed on him, they didn't manage to kill him. I realized this was due to the Shadow Demon's physical resistance, which allowed him to immune half of the physical damage. So, I summoned all my skeleton mages. As the skeleton mages began chanting elemental spells, the Shadow Demon panicked. If this wave of attacks landed on him, he would surely die. So, he immediately used an entanglement skill, attaching his main body to a skeleton warrior. This not only freed him from my slow curse, but also gave him a body that could withstand pressure. But the next second, the skeleton mage's elemental attacks rained down from above. This round of attacks forced him back into his original form. In a pitiful state, he began calling for his minions to come to his aid. Seeing this, I smiled. Are you looking for them? As soon as I spoke, the corpses of all his minions were lifted high by the skeleton warriors. The Abyss Shadow Demon was furious at the sight. I'll tear you to pieces. Well then, here you go. With that, I ordered the skeleton warriors to throw all the corpses at him. Then, I used the corpse explosion skill on the bodies. The Shadow Demon watched helplessly as his minions' corpses swelled. There was nothing he could do. The next second, a violent explosion engulfed him. Then, the system notified me that I had killed a level 40 Abyss Shadow Demon. Experience plus 800,000. Military merits plus 500. Obtained a demon crystal. Ark looked at the badge in his hand in disbelief. I never thought I'd reach the rank of lieutenant. At this age, if my grandfather knew about this, he'd be shocked to the point of losing his beard. But to rank up again, I'll need 10,000 military merits. So, we decided to head to the border of the abyss to take a look. Meanwhile, at the Shajing Academy, Elder Meng looked at Bai Shen in surprise. Why did you send him to the elemental dungeon? But Bai Shen replied, I just wanted to see his limits. He soloed a hell difficulty dungeon and wiped out tens of thousands of hellhounds without breaking a sweat. I'm sure the elemental dungeon won't be a problem for him. But Elder Meng didn't agree. After all, the elemental dungeon is a level 40 dungeon, far beyond the difficulty of those other dungeons. Moreover, the elemental queen's attributes are comparable to those of a high-level demon. Although that kid has a lot of skeletons, they are useless against the elemental queen, who is entirely immune to physical skills. But Bai Shen still responded with a smile. If he can't win, can't he just escape? After all, the bosses in the elemental dungeon can't move. Besides, even if he dies in the dungeon, with the Soul Palace Mark I planted on him, he can still come back to life. I didn't just send him to the elemental dungeon, I also sent him to the border of the abyss in Battlefield 3. To kill demons and increase his military rank. Hearing this, Elder Meng could no longer sit still. Did you forget one thing? Old Ning's precious granddaughter is with that kid. She doesn't have the Soul Palace mark. If that girl dies, old Ning will definitely come after you. But as soon as he finished speaking, Ning Tyran walked in from behind. He had overheard part of the conversation. So, he asked Bai Shen who was going to die. Bai Shen hurriedly tried to cover up the topic. But Ning Tyran pressed him further. Where did you send him on a mission? Bai Shen finally admitted that he had sent me to the battlefield. But he confidently assured that with me around, Ark would be safe. Hearing this, Ning Tyran snorted coldly. Ark has the soul protection curse I placed on her. She should be fine. But if anything happens to her, I'll hold you accountable first. Meanwhile, Ark and I had already reached the border of the abyss. Suddenly, countless sinister eyes appeared beyond the border. Then, a dense swarm of monsters and demons surged in from outside. They shouted arrogantly, "We must taste the legendary deliciousness of humans." But the next second, a barrage of elemental attacks rained down on them from above. The weaker monsters died on the spot, while only some of the stronger demons managed to escape. The Blaze Demon King from the depths of the abyss was finally enraged. He forcefully broke through the gate of the abyss and launched an attack on me. With just one strike, he shattered my bone armor, and the transferred damage instantly destroyed hundreds of my skeletons. It turned out that as a large number of monsters surged into the battlefield from the entrance of the abyss, the skeleton mage's elemental attacks continuously rained down on the swarm of monsters. The weaker monsters died instantly, leaving only some of the stronger demons alive. But the next second, they were met with my slow curse. Then, I summoned all my skeleton warriors, and they swarmed in. Faced with the fierce attacks of hundreds of skeleton warriors, the demons present quickly fell one after another. Then, I used the explosion skill on their corpses. With a loud boom, a series of kill notifications popped up continuously. This explosion instantly killed all the demons present. However, at this moment, I looked at the abyss passage with a wicked smile. It seems this abyss passage is a great place to farm military merits. The next second, more sinister eyes appeared at the entrance of the abyss, indicating that more monsters would soon emerge from within. So, I ordered the skeleton warriors to throw the demons' corpses into the passage. Then, I used the skill corpse explosion on the bodies. As a loud explosion echoed from within the abyss passage, a dense series of kill notifications popped up. Then, a large amount of golden energy surged out. This energy was the military merits obtained from killing demons. In an instant, Ark and I gained 3,000 military merits. A minute later, another wave of abyss monsters surged from the depths. But as they were about to step out of the abyss gate and enter the battlefield, a demon corpse glowing red was thrown in from outside. Without a doubt, Ark and I gained over 2,000 more military merits. Moments later, pairs of crimson eyes appeared once again at the entrance of the abyss. After 3 rounds of explosions, my military merits had reached 8,500. I was only 1,500 points away from becoming a 1-star lieutenant. Ark's military merits had also reached 7,900. At this moment, the abyss passage began to distort. It seemed the impact of the explosion skill had shortened its duration. As the passage twisted more and more severely, I realized it might not recover. It's a shame I couldn't use it to farm more military merits. But the next second, the distorted abyss passage suddenly stabilized. Seeing this, I felt a surge of joy. It seemed we could at least reach the rank of 1-star lieutenant. Suddenly, I felt an inexplicable fear deep within me. Without hesitation, I activated my bone armor and pulled Ark away. Got you. A deafening roar came from behind the spatial passage. In that instant, my ears rang violently, and I temporarily lost my hearing. Ark frowned in pain, clearly suffering greatly. "I'll make you die." A giant eye emerged from the abyss passage. Countless energy spheres condensed around it. The next second, beams of death rays shot out from the abyss passage. Unable to dodge in time, I was hit instantly. In the blink of an eye, my bone armor shattered. Fortunately, the remaining damage was transferred to my skeletons. But as I watched the number of skeletons, my summoning space rapidly decrease, I panicked. If I let him continue attacking like this, I would surely die. Suddenly, my gaze fell on the unstable abyss passage. If I could destroy the passage, I could stop him. So, I ordered my skeletons to throw the remaining corpses into the passage. At the same time, I activated the corpse explosion skill. Violent explosions began to erupt continuously within the passage. The next second, the Blaze Demon King's death rays were forced to stop. Seeing this, I finally breathed a sigh of relief. It seemed my choice was correct. This time, the passage could no longer be maintained. A roar of anger came from within. "Lin Moyan, I won't let you go." Absolutely not. The Blaze Demon King was furious to the extreme. Clearly, the explosion had injured him. How could he tolerate a mere mosquito injuring him? Hearing his roar, I ignored him and even waved at him. Goodbye, when we meet again, I'll definitely blow you up. As soon as I finished speaking, the abyss passage completely disappeared. At this moment, Ark hurried over and asked if I was injured. I reassured her that I was fine. Just that I had lost some skeleton warriors. But I swore to repay him double for this in the future. The glorious moment of my unique hidden class, the Necromancer, had come again. Not only had I single-handedly swept through Battlefield 3, but I had also defeated a high-level demon from the abyss. However, my actions had alerted the Demon King deep within the abyss. With a single strike, he shattered my proud bone armor. In the end, I had to sacrifice hundreds of skeleton warriors to escape. After repeatedly confirming that I was unharmed, Ark finally relaxed. The Blaze Demon King is so despicable. A Demon King actually ambushed us. Luckily it was you. Any other professional would have died. When I get stronger, I'll go deep into the abyss and give him a good beating. Ark waved her small fist. Looking fierce and determined, I patted her head and comforted her. I blew him up twice. Although I didn't injure him, I made him lose face. It's normal for him to hate me, but it's fine. In the future, I'll show him whose fist is bigger. I felt no fear in my heart. Right now, I'm only level 26, and he still couldn't kill me. In the future, it'll be even less likely. After that, I stored my skeleton warriors in the summoning space to recover. Recalling the Blaze Demon King's attack earlier, I still felt a lingering fear. The death ray that hit me not only shattered my bone armor, but also caused me significant damage. Although the damage was transferred to my skeletons, it left all my skeleton warriors and mages injured. If that kind of attack were to land one or two more times, my skeleton army and I would have died on the spot. Compared to when I was in Battlefield 1, his attack wasn't this strong back then. At that time, my bone armor could withstand it for a second or two. Now, it shattered instantly. You must know, my bone armor is much stronger now than it was back then. This can only mean that the closer he is to the abyss entrance, the stronger his power becomes. It seems I need to get stronger quickly. Otherwise, the next time I encounter him, I might be instantly wiped out. After resting for a while, Ark and I set off again. Following the border of the abyss, we arrived at the deepest part of Battlefield 3. Originally, this should have been the place with the most abyss demons. In my impression, battles should be everywhere here. But the opposite was true. It was very quiet. A dungeon entrance vortex was spinning wildly, emitting a unique sound. About 500 or 600 meters away from the dungeon, a small, crude fortress stood on the ground. Inside and outside the fortress were high-level professionals, and there was also a teleportation array. Seeing the teleportation array, Ark couldn't help but exclaim in surprise. There's actually a teleportation array here. Even I was shocked. Does that mean we can teleport directly here from Fortress 3? If I had known that, why did we go through all the trouble of walking such a long way? At this moment, I noticed a large group of professionals gathered at the dungeon entrance. Like professionals at other dungeon entrances, they sat around chatting and laughing, completely unfazed by the abyss world right in front of them. Seeing Lin Moyan and Ning Yi's surprised expressions, they couldn't help but laugh. Here come two more fools who didn't know about the teleportation array. Exactly, we get such fools almost every day. This is what happens when you don't check the information properly. Some guards, however, were more understanding. Maybe they wanted to save some military merits. After all, teleportation consumes military merits. Or perhaps they wanted to have a romantic journey along the way. Unlike you, a single dog. Amidst the teasing, one of the guards suddenly exclaimed in surprise. Look at their levels. One is level 26, and the other is level 25. Coming to Battlefield 3 at this level is basically delivering themselves as food to the demons. In their eyes, any elemental spirit in the elemental planes could easily kill us. But how did they get here? A big question mark appeared in everyone's mind. They looked at each other, unable to understand. At this moment, the teleportation array suddenly lit up. In the next second, a group of professionals teleported in. When Ark saw the newcomers, she immediately smiled and said, "It's Sister Yue Yue." Shi Xing'an and the others also smiled. "Why are you guys here?" Ark quickly responded on my behalf. "We're here for a mission, and to kill some demons to earn military merits." Suddenly, they noticed that Ning Yi's badge had also been promoted to the rank of lieutenant. They must have encountered quite a few demons along the way. But considering my strength, killing a few demons wasn't a big deal. After all, during the battle in Battlefield 1, it's still vivid in my memory. I dominated the battlefield during the defense of Fortress 1, like a war god. At this moment, Ark curiously asked them what they were doing here. Liang Yu told her that she was here to level up, as the dungeon here offered good experience. The leveling speed was even faster than the Hell Outpost dungeon. At this point, their levels had all reached 31, while the Hell Outpost dungeon was only level 26. The experience it provided was no longer sufficient for them. The level 30 dungeon in Battlefield 3, with Shi Xing'an's outpost set, especially the Hell Outpost shield in his hand, could easily conquer this dungeon. They had already cleared the nightmare difficulty once, although it was quite challenging and exhausting. Overall, the experience was much higher than the Hell Outpost dungeon. At this point, Shi Xing'an told me about the situation inside the dungeon. The Battlefield 3 world dungeon is somewhat special. It contains the powers of 3 worlds: the human world, the abyss world, and the elemental planes. These 3 forces converge within the dungeon, giving it the characteristics of all 3. The entire dungeon feels somewhat bizarre. The monsters inside attack each other, making the dungeon feel like a battlefield. Professionals entering the dungeon need to choose a side to align with. You'll understand the specifics once you enter. Shi Xing'an told me everything he knew. However, I wanted to ask him about the hell difficulty. Hearing this, Shi Xing'an shook his head like a wave. I still want to live a few more years. With my current level 31 strength, going into hell difficulty would be suicide. Look at the hundreds of professionals here. Very few have even attempted hell difficulty. Although he said that, I didn't consider the nightmare difficulty. For any dungeon, if hell difficulty exists, the rewards from hell difficulty would be several times greater than nightmare difficulty. Naturally, I would choose hell difficulty first. Back when I was level 21, I dared to solo the level 26 hell difficulty Dragon Clan Frontline Outpost. Now that I'm level 26, I'm equally willing to tackle the hell difficulty of Battlefield 3 World Dungeon. If I really can't handle it, I can always use the dungeon escape scroll to get out. Moreover, here, unlike the dungeon entrance in Battlefield 1, there's no need to worry about demons appearing outside the dungeon, because the dungeon continuously absorbs the powers of the abyss world and the human world. Within the several thousand meters covered by the dungeon, no spatial rifts will appear. Additionally, with so many professionals here, even if dozens of demons were to attack, it would just be a free delivery of resources. Not to mention, there's a simple base nearby, high-level professionals stationed there. So, those resting outside the dungeon don't need to worry about demons ambushing them. Hearing my determination to challenge the hell dungeon, Shi Xing'an agreed to meet me here again after the dungeon. He was eager to hear from me what hell difficulty was really like. Then, Ark and I prepared to enter the dungeon entrance. But at this moment, some well-meaning professionals outside the dungeon advised me not to be impulsive. Young man, this is a level 30 dungeon. The monsters inside are very dangerous. Even the monsters in normal difficulty are not something you can handle. I suggest you find a team to go in together. But I just smiled at them and thanked them. Then without hesitation, I selected hell difficulty and entered the dungeon. No team had ever dared to set foot in the hell-level Battlefield 3 World Dungeon. Yet I entered it alone with a girl. Seeing this, the professionals nearby couldn't help but sigh. In their eyes, Ark and I were already dead. But then, someone said, "Why are you sighing? Didn't you notice the military badges on them? They're lieutenants. They've killed demons before." Everyone was shocked. How is this possible? Their highest level is only 26. What's impossible about it? Haven't you heard? A few days ago, an 18-year-old level 24 lieutenant appeared in Battlefield 1, and he soloed the hell difficulty outpost dungeon. The professionals couldn't help but exclaim in amazement. Some were even too shocked to speak. Little did they know, the person they were talking about was me. At this moment, Ark and I had already been teleported into the dungeon. From here, we could clearly see the entire dungeon world. This world was peculiar. One side was night, the other was day, and the middle was a blend of both. The abyss world, the human world, and the elemental planes. These 3 forces divided the dungeon world into 3 distinct parts. In front of us were 2 paths, one leading to the dark world representing the abyss, and the other leading to the daylight world representing the human world. We needed to choose one of these paths to proceed. However, the paths hadn't opened yet, so we couldn't make a choice for now. Look over there. At this moment, Ark suddenly pointed to the central area of the dungeon where the black and white worlds blended. I looked in the direction she was pointing and was stunned. It was a war. Dark abyss forces were pouring out countless monsters. Their appearance was no different from abyss demons. Twisted, terrifying, cruel, and bloodthirsty. The demons either flew in the air or charged on the ground. They rode terrifying beasts, their momentum overwhelming. On the human side, top-level professionals above level 70 were flying in the air, while more professionals were charging on the ground. But I noticed something unusual. The professionals in front of us weren't alive. They were illusions. Not only were the human professionals like this, but the demons from the abyss were also illusions. It looked terrifying, but it also felt somewhat unreal. The 2 sides clashed fiercely in the central area where black and white intersected. The abyss demons mostly had the ability to fly. Even those riding beasts on the ground could take to the air at any moment. As a result, the humans were at a significant disadvantage. As soon as the battle began, the humans were already on the back foot. Suddenly, a mage raised his staff and chanted, and immediately, all the demons, including the top human professionals, fell from the sky. The sky was empty except for that mage. He raised his staff high, chanting, "Elemental catastrophe." Instantly, the elements went wild, and the entire dungeon world shook violently. Hundreds of human mages raised their staffs in unison, shouting together, casting various spells at the demons. In just moments, the demons suffered heavy casualties. Seeing the situation turn dire, the Demon King from the rear finally made his appearance. His massive body resembled an ancient demon god. With a single step, he towered over the battlefield, standing thousands of meters tall. With a gentle flap of his wings, a terrifying surge of elemental power erupted from his body, engulfing the entire human army. The spells and abyss power collided, and in the next moment, a dazzling rainbow light enveloped the entire dungeon. Moments later, the light faded, and both the humans and demons had disappeared. The central area, which had been a blend of black and white, had now turned into a chaotic elemental land. Elemental spirits began to appear within it. Seeing this, I suddenly understood. The scene we had just witnessed was a reenactment of a great battle that had once taken place. It told us the origin of the elemental planes. Of course, this might only be the tip of the iceberg of that great battle. At this moment, the barriers on both paths disappeared simultaneously, indicating that it was time for us to make a choice. Without hesitation, I chose the path leading to the night. That area was tainted by abyss energy, and was where the most demons gathered. For me, it was the best place to farm military merits. So, we followed the path down the mountain. The journey was uneventful, until we reached the foot of the mountain, where we saw monsters identical to abyss demons. As far as the eye could see, it was an endless plain, with no buildings, or any obstructions. In the deepest part of the plain, there stood a giant statue over 100 meters tall. That was the endpoint where the dungeon boss resided. This was a special, yet simple dungeon, as long as we cleared out all the monsters. On the abyss side, the dungeon would be considered cleared. By now, my skeleton warriors had fully recovered. After resting, so, I summoned all of them. Facing a level 30 dungeon on hell difficulty, I couldn't afford to be careless. Generally, only a full team of 12 players at level 35, equipped with top-tier gear, would dare to attempt this dungeon. As for me, a level 26 solo player, I'm probably the only one. Soon, we encountered the first monster. It looked somewhat like an abyss wolf demon, but its size was much larger than any wolf demon I'd seen before. Its body was mounted on a green wolf, standing over 5 meters tall. The green wolf had wings, and could take to the air at any moment.